will actually follow a simple structure. I'm just welcoming you to this symposium. I'll also talk about the vision, the meaning of we'll talk about the meaning of RAP, the vision and mission. I will introduce to you some leaders of the platform. I'll also tell you about why we organize annual symposia and indigenous seed and food fairs. I'll talk about who is here participating in this event. I will also mention something about the objectives of the symposium, the role of academic institutions, the platform's challenges, and of course, acknowledge the sponsors and organizers of this symposium, and then conclude. It will take a very short time. Okay. Now, what is RAP? Rwenzori Region Agroecology Actors Platform is what is abbreviated as RAP. And it is a family of farmers, researchers, NGOs, and government actors working together for the promotion of agroecology. Our vision of this platform is that we are looking at a point when the Rwenzori region communities will be having a steady socio-economic development that is premised in sustainable utilization of the natural resources that we have. And our mission is to transform agricultural practices based on principles of equity, justice, and ecological sustainability for the well-being of present and future generations. If you think our mission has a fault, this symposium should tell us that we should style up. If you think our vision is misdirected, please, from this symposium, you can redirect us. When I was honored to be selected by various stakeholders to chair this symposium, they gave me a very, very dynamic team with whom I work, and I think you will judge us from what will be transpiring from what we are doing, and I wouldn't really go far before I introduce these people to you. I will first begin with the vice chairperson, who is Mr. Yebale Enoch, who actually comes from Kitagwenda and works with COSIL. We have Mr. Amanya William, who works with Jesse. I think, what is it? He's joining us soon. I know why he's not here at this moment. He informed me. We have Mr. Hura Thomas Moore, who works with an organization called AID, and he's so trusted that we actually made him treasurer. We have Mr. Agaba Donati of Kabambiro Farmers. Is he around? He's a member. We have Mr. Habineza Robert coming from Kenjojo Coffee and Vanilla Farmers Cooperative. He's a member. We have Mr. Turinawe Moses of Kifeka in Kenjojo. He's there. We have Mr. Biamkama Ezra of Rugarama United Youth Beekeepers Association from Kitagwenda. Around. We have the head of Department of Agriculture coming from the Uganda Matters University representing the academia. I think she's around, yes. We also have a representative of the civil society organizations, and these are represented by Mr. Sharif of Kabarole Research and Resource Center. He's not around. We also have Mr. Kulebaita of Kima Foods Kasese. We have Mr. Biakutaga Aaron of the Rwenzori Community Association, RCA Kabarole. Why I took the bother to introduce them and even try to show you where they are coming from, we want to show you that RAP believes in diversity and everybody is represented within this region. Why do we organize annual symposia and indigenous seed and food fairs? We do that one to protect local seeds and knowledge so that we can keep traditional crops alive and share wisdom. We do that to improve food and health, promote diverse, nutritious, and climate resilient foods. We do that to support farmers and culture, connect communities, celebrate traditions, and create markets. And we do that to teach and influence leaders, spread awareness, involve youth, and push for supportive policies. This is why we are having the commissioner from the Ministry of Agriculture, so that we can actually request him to understand how the policies should be tailored to what we are interested in. Who are here now participating in this symposium? We have government ministries and local governments. We have communities, civil society organizations from here and other parts of Uganda. We have experts from international organizations. We have academic and research institutions here. We have farmer organizations. We have the media organizations around. We have individual entrepreneurs. We have cultural institutions represented by our own Deputy Prime Minister. We have cultural institutions, vice organizations, youth and women organizations, security organizations, and political leaders. All are here. If there is any important section of society that is not represented, you can remind us so that next time we don't forget anybody. The overall objective of this symposium is to raise awareness about the potential benefits of indigenous seeds and foods. That is what we are here for. We want everybody really to get to understand the benefits of indigenous seeds and foods. And this symposium aims to promote the contribution of these seeds and food to food security and nutritional value, while also emphasizing their essential role in advancing sustainable food systems to address regional malnutrition challenges. I was hearing everybody here was talking about how they expect to get answers to the always sung malnutrition levels that we experience here. And the specific objectives is to showcase the diversity of indigenous seeds and the nutritional value of indigenous foods, to demonstrate the economic potential of indigenous crop production and value addition, to facilitate knowledge exchange among agroecological farmers, researchers, private sector representatives, and development practitioners, and to foster connections between agroecological farmers, processors, organic input dealers, agroecology traders, and consumers. Those are the specific objectives. Go ahead. Now, the role of the Rwenzori Agroecology Actors platform in achieving these objectives, you can see that we have organized this event to highlight indigenous seeds and foods as an educational campaign about their benefits. We are here trying to stimulate research on the economic advantages of indigenous crops and encourage value addition and processing initiatives. We are trying to encourage forums and workshops for sharing best practices among farmers, researchers, and practitioners, and establish online communication networks where it is necessary. We also want to organize networking opportunities to connect farmers, processors, traders, and consumers with an aim to develop collaborative projects within the agroecology value chain. This is what the RAP is intending to do when we are here. Now, I happen to be the chair of the RAP, representing an academic institution, which is Mountains of the Moon University. And I also would like to talk about the role of academic institutions in this endeavor. It is the role of academic institutions to study indigenous seeds, crops, and foods for nutrition and climate resilience. Actually, we do quite a lot of research, sometimes very complicated research, and we ignore to do real research on some of these indigenous seeds and foods. Yesterday, I was sharing with someone about why nobody has carried out some research on how best to add value to enswiga, the black nightshade. We know enswiga is a very, very tasty and delicious vegetable here. But nobody has done research to add value to enswiga. In how many ways can you prepare enswiga? How can you prepare it and package it for export, for instance? We haven't done that one. But you find ourselves doing research of establishing how far the sun is from the earth. We need to train students and farmers in agroecology and sustainable food systems. That is the duty of academic institutions. I'm glad to inform you that Mountains of the Moon University is now offering a Master of Science in Agroecology program, and it has also launched a PhD program in agroecological sciences. That it is training the human resource necessary for this. We need to preserve indigenous seeds through seed banks and community seed centers. Everybody is crying that these indigenous are phasing out, they are getting extinct. We have to preserve them, and it is the duty of the academic institutions to do that. We need to work with the farmers, NGOs, and communities to promote traditional foods. We need to provide the evidence which is properly researched to guide policies on seed rights and food security, which should end up in food sovereignty. Somebody is an advocate of food sovereignty, and I'm very happy about that. We need to promote indigenous foods in schools, markets, and programs to fight malnutrition. Our young lady is there from a certain primary school, is already on board. We need to know when we are talking about indigenous foods and seeds, what do we mean? These are some of the indigenous foods that we cherish. This list is small, is very short. There are so many. The cherry tomatoes, sometimes we used to call them in Rutoro that Obtembarturo, Katunkuma, not so? These are very, very important tomatoes with very high nutrition and very delicious, but it is very difficult to find them today. We have the black nightshade, the enswiga, which I've talked about. We have the finger millet. Yesterday, the Deputy Prime Minister was saying that the Batoro have actually shied away. They no longer grow finger millet, which, when it is our staple food, it is no longer being grown. Cowpeas, I have tried to put it in a bracket Omgobe, because whenever we talk about cowpeas, people think of Kaho, the Bushaza. The cowpeas we are talking about are the Mugobe. The Kaho is known as garden pea, not cowpea. So the cowpea is the Mugobe. These things are dying out when they are very important. We have a lot of local varieties of maize, sorghum, sweet potatoes, beans, and the spider plant, which are actually are becoming rare and extinct. When you see that picture there, you are seeing one of our staff in one of the fields of a yobyo. That is a yobyo, which have been grown at Mountains of the Moon University, and we are doing some good research on that as a vegetable, but we again want to develop an acaricide out of that particular plant. So we are already doing some research towards that direction. What challenges is the platform facing? This platform, as I'm saying, is constituted by quite a number of organizations and actors, we sometimes struggle with getting enough funds and resources to execute our mandate and work on our strategic plan. That is a very, very big challenge. We know we have been struggling because of some organizations which have been supporting us here and there, but they can't really support us enough for all what we want to do. As we have brought together different organizations, we are seeing that there is some, we haven't arrived at the cohesion we actually expected. We are still in a loose alliance. Every organization tends to actually work individually, think individually. We would actually wish we could actually have a better cohesion than what we are experiencing. And many member organizations may have not yet integrated activities of the platform into their mainstream budget. Now people are budgeting for the 2026-2027 financial year. I'm very sure that not many of the organizations in this platform have actually included a budget specifically for the RAP activities. I would really use this opportunity to call upon us that when we are budgeting for that, we should include a budget to that effect. And what could be the likely solutions to these challenges? We need to build more partnerships and attract donors who believe in our case. We need to promote smart farming techniques that cope with climate change, organize awareness campaigns, and engage government leaders to put agroecology at the center of our policy. So, who can come up or develop these solutions? These are researchers and universities which can provide new ideas and evidence, farmers and local communities that are the heart of creating solutions. Government leaders can create policies that make solutions sustainable, and NGOs and development partners can support financially and technically. When we are here at this symposium, there are very many things that we expect, and some of us have already expressed what we expect. But what we have organized, I think you should be looking out for these expectations. They definitely have to be met. You have to find out how indigenous seeds and foods help nutrition and health farming. When you go at that exhibition there, you will actually try to find out how those things can do help. You need to look at and taste traditional foods. Somebody was telling me that today we shall have orgali. So we have to taste traditional foods and understand what that one means. And we have to watch farming and cooking demos. We need also to connect with farmers, researchers, and organizations. And we need to share ideas about improving food security and protecting local seeds. And we should learn how to grow and use indigenous seeds and foods. When you are interacting with all the other partners around, try to ensure that you get that information. You can be able to get it from here. It would be bad manners if I didn't acknowledge the people who actually sponsored this very important event. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Executive Director of JESE, who has actually played a very, very important role in sponsoring this project. We have BD, also it participated very well. We have IDP, which also participated very, very enormously. And we must also thank ourselves as RAP. We have actually been doing quite a lot of work. Other partners who have actually contributed quite a lot include KRC, FRA, Caritas, AID, Pelham Uganda, COSIL, CARE, Mountains of the Moon University, Common Ground, RCA, Uganda Matters University, Triple F Agroecology Demonstration Center, and all farmers cooperatives. All these work together to put together this event, as you can see it. In conclusion, The Rwenzori Agroecology Actors Platform is a key partner in solving food and nutrition challenges of not only this Rwenzori region, but the entire country. And working together and expanding agroecology practices will bring lasting change. Indigenous seeds and foods are our treasure for a sustainable future. Thank you very much.
To Adieri. Adieri in this endeavor brings passion on agroecology. I think my first time to interact with the concept of agroecology, it's Adieri who introduced this concept to me. And initially I had challenges, but from the many speeches and presentations, I've come to appreciate it. So thank you, Adieri, for that, but also for bringing us up to speed on RAP and the progress that it has made. So I think we are going to proceed with the opening remarks from local leadership. And for now, I take the pleasure to invite the Chairman Chenjojo, Honorable Vaihayo, to also give his remarks. He will be followed by the Mayor for Porto City. You're welcome. Sorry for the exchanges of our chief guest because of the projector.
Yeah, thank you so much. Our Deputy Prime Minister, Toro Kingdom, Abwoli Nyakake, our Assistant RDC, and our Director Jesse, and other directors around, government officials around, local leaders, local government workers, NGO workers, and I don't think I will fulfill the protocol, but allow me to read on the existing protocol. I'm Gilbert Rwaihayo, the district chairperson, Chenjojo. Actually, I'm happy to be here, and we've been working in very, very close partnership with Jesse in all other fields. And allow me to use this opportunity to appreciate you for the wonderful work you are doing in our region. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Allow me to appreciate also other partners, because really we are working very, very hard to ensure that our region grows. Now, on our theme for today, indigenous seeds. Actually, I'm very, very excited that we are talking about indigenous seeds. And for me, what I think the key issue here really to take here is, how do we research more? I was listening to the professor, and I saw he was trying to do some research on Yovyo, but we really need to do a lot of research on indigenous foods. What are the nutritional values, and how do we make them palatable, especially to the young people that we have around here? Actually, for me, my children don't like it. They've grown now, but they hated it. Every time they would look at Dodo, every time they would look at Nakati, every time they would look at Jovio, it is better. Actually, they would look at it as medicine. So, actually, you would force them to take it. So, but the moment you bring chips, the moment you show them chicken, the moment you show them rice and meat, and you see them very, very, very excited. So my question is, how do we make these palatable? Actually, we need more research. How do we make them palatable? How do we add some sweeteners, but they retain the nutritional value without changing everything? So I think really what we really need to be discussing more about these foods is research. How do we do a lot of research? Then how do we, there is a lot of competition. Of course, you can see now if I'm telling you about these foods, we have been bombarded by the Western influences. Then how do we make sure that we continue, we influence actually now the Westerners, we influence our children to believe more in our foods? It's another challenge really we need to do, because you can see the Western influence is taking over, and when you tell people about the foods, then we don't understand it so well. Then we also don't know the nutritional value of these foods. Actually, some of our foods are extremely nutritious. You talked about millet. Many of you wonder that why we are getting, we have stunted growth now. It's because we are forgetting our traditional foods. If you move slowly, if you see the people who are tall are in the country, are those who depend mainly on millet. You look at them. It is millet. You can add their milk and others. But millet is a food which has a lot of nutrition. Its nutritional value, you cannot actually overestimate it. But how many of us, if we ask just, if we did a sample here and we ask, how many took millet tonight? Do we have any? Yes, 3, 4. Even me, I didn't take millet last night, but because I don't take supper, because I don't be like my brother, I fear that so much. Yeah. So now, but the millet is of high nutritional value. Then how are we really? How are we really making it so palatable to people? You see, millet bread. We can have cake, millet. We can have all things, but without compromising the nutritional value. What are we doing actually? Are we doing a lot? So for me, what brings me and what I want to promote is really we need to do more research. We need to have a knowledge bank. We need to have a lot of write-ups. I know we are very less at writing, we are very less at reading. Even when many people now, as I'm talking, very few are listening. We are on WhatsApp. Western influence has taken us completely. So we don't want to know what exactly is happening. So we need to have this knowledge stored. It is oral, only oral. We talk about millet, it is oral. We sing for millet, it is oral. But how do we maintain that? Actually, if we are talking, we should also, when we are talking about the indigenous foods, we should also be talking even about our indigenous animals. Our cows, they have a lot of the ghee. Actually, do we still have the original ghee? Gari amagito wijago mukaikuru akakuchumbire sabwe ukatandika kukora weno ukasoberwa ukadondeza kimu. No hamanyire kuchumbira sabwe hali. Halo hagimanyire. Oh, I'm very happy. He knows. But eji sabwe nkugambire kaberi hano muno. You know, that is the only thing I remember about my grandmother. Nothing. Actually, I feel so sad that actually I missed that. Yakwataga achumbe sabwe kandi achumbira kimu mukanaga kali, then yakuhereza esabwe ntayiteti taso kuchumbira bingi muno ukagenda baitu okulyamu no mpora aga magita gatama. Many of you will not understand it. So now, these cows cannot produce that actually. It cannot do that. So how are we preserving our local cows? Some few people. I saw His Excellency the President actually exporting it to South Africa, and in Angola they have kept the local cows, but for us we are not actually doing it. So these are the things actually we need to talk about it. But there is another key thing. Actually, he raised it, the budgeting, the funding is a problem. We are very appreciative of this. Where do we get the funding to protect these? And then, of course, finally, I really want I came here to learn more, but not to influence. But, of course, I'm raising these issues such that we really know how do we move about them. Then the biggest threat which is happening in our country and which is happening in the world is these big multilateral corporations who want to influence. So we are talking about the genetic modifications they are doing on our crops. It is a real threat. And you remember sometime back, it even came to Parliament, the Monsantos and the other big multilaterals, corporations, they wanted to ensure that actually our food bank, sorry, our seed bank is destroyed completely, such that we only use their seed to grow. Now, this threat, actually, I don't think really the NGOs, you are going to help us so much. But as a nation now, we need to come forward, and we really have patriots if we are really to have our these seeds, if we are to have them for the future. It's a very, very big challenge, and the threat of the influence. These multinational corporations who are only interested in making money, but they are not interested in seeing us grow. Actually, if we are not, the genetic modification, it is so much, and nothing is original. Actually, if we are not worried as human beings, if we are not careful, we shall stop having human beings. We shall only have modified human beings. Because you know, we are what? We eat. Yes, you will not find an origin of human being. I was thinking so much the other day, sorry to digress you a bit. I was quarreling with my teachers. I know there are some teachers here. They may get offended. For us, we support the industrial action. But we are saying, for the case of our P7, the learners in P7, these ones must be helped and they must pass exam. Because otherwise, in the future there, we shall have a problem. And I gave them an example. I even went on radio. I gave them an example and I told them, I'm getting back to the point, you'll get it. I told them, if we don't help our learners, we shall have a crisis. But these people, we said, only P7. But how many have responded? They don't care. Because what we think about now is only money, is only me, the me syndrome. How have we come to this? Maybe it is the food we are eating. You think about it seriously. We don't know the chemicals, the additives they are putting in most of the foods we eat. We no longer care. We are no longer our brother's keeper. And this is a threat we are having as a nation. We are having as a world. We are no longer our brother's keeper. You don't care what happens to our brother, your brother. It is purely a man-eat-man society. Either it is my thing or it is not yours. So, but I found some very few who are still taking our indigenous foods. They were keeping the children in homes, trying to help the P7s, but very few of them. But others are doing serious business. And when it came to the end of the month that we are paying, they are running to the bank for the salaries. For what? That little, they want it. But for us, when we are saying, let the government take its role, but let's help our learners. And of course, I have seen some few teachers now. Go back and influence your colleagues. Let's help these young people. Otherwise, tomorrow we are going to have a crisis. Toro Kingdom, you help us. Actually, our development partners help us. Because if we don't become our brother's keeper, the teachers should act like what happens with medical. I remember sometime back, we had a strike. The health workers went on strike. But what did they do? The essential services, they ensured that they are running. Isn't that what they did? They ensured that they are running. The emergency. If you go there and you went there to the hospital and you had an emergency, they attended to you. But all the others, they made sure they stopped. So I think that's what they should do. But what is happening, if we are to get back to the point, sorry, I digressed a bit, but maybe what we are eating is affecting us. So if we want to become real human beings, could we go back to our traditional foods? Otherwise, in the future, we are going to have a problem. You look at an animal, you look at a human being, you will not differentiate. The Ubuntu, yes, the humanity in us, the Ubuntu, will be gone completely. Yes, you will find somebody. It's like you take an example of somebody who takes a lot of drugs, these drug addicts. You get somebody, you can't tell whether the person is a human being or a dead body. It is so funny. You find that actually, the other day, In my village, actually, a young man killed his mother and even killed the grandmother. And he was saying that he killed snakes. And the man was very convinced that he actually saw snakes in the house. He killed the two of them. Now, when the opium was gone in the morning, the young man wanted to commit suicide. But now you look at that. So in other words, the things we are taking now, they have a short-term and a long-term effect. So we really need to go back to the basics and become real human beings. The other issue we have to insist is the food, we call it the what? The bank, the cereal bank. We really need the cereal bank. That one we need it so much. And we really need to go back to the basics. And if we do that, therefore, we shall survive as a community. Actually, what we are discussing now is, in a nutshell, is survival. How do we survive as human beings? How do we survive as Africans? How do we survive and retain? Of course, now finally, the stunted growth. I think we are not giving, as local governments and the government of Uganda, we are not giving the seriousness that it deserves, the stunted growth. You know, stunted growth, what you see outside, somebody developing kwashako, malnutrition and all the others, these are external signs. But are we thinking about the internal signs? Are we thinking about what is happening to our brain? So stunted growth is a real threat because actually we are going to have people with stunted brains. And you know what happens with stunted brains, what it happens. As a region, we are known as intellectuals. We produced a lot of high quality, high caliber people in terms of learning. So if we don't fight stunted growth, if we don't fight malnutrition, therefore even we are going, the quality of human being is going to be compromised. So really we look at this as wholesome and a challenge. Once again, I want to thank you for inviting us, and I want to emphasize our total commitment. That as local governments, it's the reason why we are here. We support you 100%. We are behind you, and we want to encourage you to continue influencing policy. By the way, you do a lot of work in influencing policy. What you see, Rwenzori Nutrition and other programs related to this, it's because of your effort. And all the other programs we really support. Once again, I welcome you and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for very, very provocative remarks. I think really a very wonderful Kickstarter for our conversation and reflection. Mr. Chairman, Mwenge used to produce a lot of millet. He used to be the food basket of millet. So these conversations you're having here, we should also have them in Mwenge and elsewhere. There is the research issue that you've raised. I think we take note of that, and several other issues. Now, it's also my honor to invite the mayor or the representative of the mayor of Fort Portal City, if you're around, to give your remarks, and let's try to keep them short, please. Okay. Okay, so if the mayor is not represented, allow me to invite the Deputy Prime Minister, Aboli, to also give us your remarks.
Morning, everyone. Protocol observed. I thank Jesse for inviting us as Soro Kingdom. And yesterday, as we launched, we had a very good day. And of course, I learned a lot from yesterday, and even today, I'm still learning. So, I have, I think, comments. Indigenous seeds and foods, and of course, fighting the nutrition and what have you. So, I think Jesse has done a very good job. And I think let's walk the talk. And protecting our indigenous seeds and crops is very good. You have seen that our LC5 is telling us we might have stunted brains. And then when we reach there, then I think we shall have a very dishonest generation, or we are not going to be there. Secondly, some people may not understand the word indigenous as if it has not been there or it's not there, because they don't want us to protect or to give security to our indigenous crops or foods. But it's us, really, to fight it and see it working. Secondly, I grew up with people calling these small tomatoes obunyanya bwa habituru. But those are the real tomatoes, which are nutritious and which will help us in growing. But people for sure underrate them because they don't know. Now you have come on board, let people get to know what we are supposed to protect and to give our children. And mostly parents want easy things, quick food. Donuts are on board everywhere. Every morning, children are feeding on donuts, are feeding on juices, different juices, which even they have no value. But the children, when they see these different colors in bottles, they get excited. And when these donuts are served with sweets, of course, they get excited. And then in the end, you just start kwekaguza omwana wange katarukukura. Omwana tarukura ebyo kumuha tibine kyo kumuhaho kuyiha kumwijuzende kazimba kubonga. And another thing I think maybe we shall talk about it with Jesse, with Mountains of the Moon. If you can have once in a month or in 3 months, if you can have like a trade fair, something like on Valia Road, or we keep rotating it in districts of Toro Kingdom, where people, because in Kitagwenda they have different foods. In Bunyangabo they have different foods. So that people can go and see, and we have a meal, maybe like urugali. Yesterday the food was so good, nutritious, and you see when people, they concentrate on ebirungo. And these ones, most people don't know how to use them. You find people using Reiko in beans, Reiko in peanuts, then you lose the taste. And then someone starts bulging and what have you. But yesterday's food was really good, clean and neat. And you see it was really cooked very well. Beans were beans, cassava was cassava, millet was millet. I was trying to test this millet, is it really smooth? There were no stones, there was nothing. We really enjoyed it. Even the meat was really boiled, but tasty. So we need to bring those things so that people can come and taste the food and ask. These days people don't want to ask. Ask, how have you prepared this food? Then you get to know. Because if all of us, we had our grandmothers, our parents, they are growing very well. I have my grandmother died at the age of 98, but she never had even gray hair. Most of them, my grandmothers, didn't have gray hair. But they used to eat millet, firinda, omukaro, otuzi, and the like. So now these days, is that you see a person bleaching herself, and then the diet still is not the best. Then you are bleaching, you are not building your body, but you are continuing with your bleaching. So now what is that? Yesterday I saw people having products, very good oils. So I think those who are ever bleaching, they had better go to Valia Road and get those creams to bring back the skin. And things are there, we have them. And I think people in leadership, or those who are like Jesse, I think let us serve with the integrity and retire with respect. Because we need for sure, it's us to put everything correct. We have Jesse on board. We have Mountains of the Mood with research. We need more research, but people have to know what is the outcome of that research. And as Toro Kingdom, we have systems. We have different platforms. I think for us, we are ready to work with you. And to take the messages to the people, and more especially the children and schools. And I'm very happy children have been invited. These are the very people who want to know. And these are the very people who don't want to eat dodo. Kiro kimukande tugenda serving ebyokuli have gain omuntu and mes ngotabintera have dodo. Dodo eyerukombe kombiru gwawe hatubongi no kugeti baralivi ebidodo. Dodo niyo ine buli michona kubanogi. So nembaza naye hingisiza. Indigenous my language naye iriyo I don't know. So ebintu bingi etugenzera nibiturugamu twine kurora ngo twagarukayo. Bagamba charity begins at home. For sure. Let parents be parents. Parents are running away or they are shying away from their responsibilities. And of course, everything starts from home. And omuntu nyineko batari kugonza kulya muhogo n'ebihimba n'abaana tebakujja kulya muhogo n'ebihimba. Omwana ekyo kumwoleka kulya nikyari kwijja kulya. Kandi omwana nomutandika kumworora akyali muto. Oburo abantu timanyire. Oburo ntubunywamu obuseera tuga tulyamu ebyokulya. My grandparents were in Katoke. Whenever I used to go to Katoke, you know you are going to eat millet, firinda, erumu amagita agahikiremu amarungi, n'olya kurungi n'orugayi. So I think Chairman Faith tell the people of Umwenge to start growing that millet. You see. And of course, now there is I watch DSTV. There is a program on DSTV about animals. You see animals behaving well, protecting each other. I think animals have not changed the environment and they have not changed their food. For us, we are changing human beings. Even now, sometimes, maybe sometime to come, you run away from your fellow human being, but at least you run to an animal for security. And secondly, animals are looking good. You watch, go and watch and see. They are looking good in those forests, in those whatever. But why? The environment has not changed and their food has not changed. For us, we are changing the environment, our own environment. We are changing it. We are destroying it. And then at the same time, we are changing the food. Eating the real food, then you go to donut. From morning to evening, you have taken donut and Fanta. Now what have you got out of that? A kid of 3 years going to school, you are packing donut and Fanta. Now what is it? What are you expecting? Are you building the brains? What are you building? So let us have love for our nature. Let's have love for our indigenous foods and seeds. Protect them. And leaders, you are here. Please, let's walk the talk. Mutyomono mkamahangiriza.
For those remarks, Tonge tumtere mungaro abokuba abukama buli fully represented ahangirize agutamba. I think at this juncture, time is not our best ally. Let me invite our chief guest, for his opening remarks as well. Colleagues, bear with us. We're going to get this session done in the shortest time possible. You're most welcome, sir.
Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to see whether you're awake. You are really awake. I'm so delighted this morning to be here once again for this very important gathering. My name is Sunday Bob George. I work with the Ministry of Agriculture and I do a lot of things there. My main assignment at the ministry, I handle food security. I was trying to multitask. We have a national food security report here, which I'm currently quality assuring. But I'm so surprised also to what a colleague has alluded to, somebody who said that there's a lot of malnutrition. I want to agree with you. According to this report, quality assuring here, you'll be surprised that the western region is more malnourished even more than the northern, close to Karamoja. Yes, and yet, it's a food basket. What are we not doing right? I want to agree with my brother here that we have food. There is food. But malnutrition, obesity, if I tried to assess here, most of you will find that all of us almost are obese. Obesity. We are obese, we are malnourished, we have food. If I told you to balance, to solve that equation, I don't know which method you would use. We have food, we have food basket, but we are malnourished. And we are obese. Where is the problem? Ladies and gentlemen, that is on food security. A few weeks back, I was nominated to be the focal person for the IGAD Food Security Analysis Hub. I will be sitting in for Uganda. Uganda is a member state for IGAD, and these are the real issues we are going to be handling across the IGAD region. And the few engagements I've had at IGAD level, they are the same stories happening here. At least the other countries that are giving us money and grant, they don't even have land to cultivate, but they are food secure. They are not malnourished. They don't have land to cultivate. But they are the ones giving us grant. Last time, Office of the Prime Minister wrote to us, and my PSC instructed me to take lead in the refugee analysis. How many of you participated? I had some people participate. My brother here, all those people with the settlements. The whole issue was Trump has cut aid, the USAID grant funding. So WFP is like, we are cutting food rations. No more enough food to the settlements. So OPM was like, this is trouble. Minister of Agriculture, rush and make an assessment. You know how we are depending on donors? We have the soil, we are green, we are fertile, energetic to work, part of Africa, but we are crying for donation. What are we not doing right? The only solution is there are issues to do with the food distribution channel. You find a lot of food in one region, the other region is starving. Even people who have food
don't know how to eat. Before you start eating on Google and the AI, you better now do the right thing. You know, some people are eating on Google. Those, for example, people have ulcers. Is pumpkin good for somebody with ulcers? Google says yes. Serve me pumpkin. Is posho good? No, I will not eat. Before you reach that level. There are people who are like that. How many of you have ulcers in this room? They have not come. They have not come. They were not invited. But there are very many people struggling with ulcers, peptic ulcers, gastric ulcers, real struggling. Why? Somebody said what you eat defines you. And what you eat can even kill you. People are struggling with ulcers, these diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, you know. Because of what we are eating and how we are eating. How many of you know how to eat? Eating is not about chewing food properly and swallowing. No. You know how to eat? Knowing how to eat is not smashing a big plate of food, you know. But ladies and gentlemen, these are the challenges we have in the country. We are always telling His Excellency that we are food secure, yes, but we are malnourished. And the issue is, which nonsense is this? My brother here, I think he's also confused. He said, we need to clear, you said we need to clear what? We need to clear this thing. We have food, but we are malnourished. He's also asking himself the same questions. Policy makers are also asking themselves the same question. Western region, this region here, Midwestern, Western, so malnourished, close to Karamoja. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be launching this National Food Security Report during the World Food Day, which is going to be hosted here. It's going to be hosted in Fort Portal City here. Those of you who will attend, you will see my slides during that time, and you'll be surprised. We are launching this report here, this one here, quality assuring, here in Kabarole during the World Food Day. And all policy makers will be there. And I will be telling you that Kabarole is malnourished, yet Kabarole has food. That's why people say, you people, maybe your data was wrong somewhere. Go and visit your data sets and see. No. We analyze, I'm an IPC level 2 certified analyst. Those of you who have done IPC, you know. Certified for level 2. When I'm analyzing the data, there is no error. Errors may be there. But before we publish these reports, we are assured, we have quality assured and quality assured very many parties. So what we present is that we are malnourished. We have food. Karamoja has been struggling with the food before even I was born. Now I was born on 9th September 1986. I'm around making 40 years soon. I'm either 39 or 38. 1986, you compute. These children don't laugh at me, by the way. No mathematics. I only use a calculator. To save time, I have a lot of things to do. So I use a calculator. Now the phone is there. I can't, but around there. Since all those years before I was born, Karamoja was food insecure. But up to now it is food insecure. Kasese, you are food insecure if you didn't know. The report is here. You are very people analyzing this data. Parts of northern, how can we say that Kampala is more food secure than Kabarole? And yet you are the people taking food to Kampala.
These are the things. He was professor talking about policy, but these are the issues. We are currently working on, one of the people working on the national food and nutrition policy. 2023 we are soon having it done. But now, these are the real issues we are looking at. And in that policy, we are strongly advocating for indigenous food. I think, Pelam, you agree with me. I want to thank Lawrence. Lawrence, stand up for recognition. Actually, come here. Don't refuse, because now I have the microphone. Clap hands for this gentleman. This man you see here, don't despise him because he has little beards. This man you see here, on behalf of Pelam, these guys have done very great work. Very great work. I remember when we were working on the NEDC, the National Determined Contribution, we were there, and they were telling us, please embrace issues of agroecology. In the NEDC, it is there. When we were reviewing the National Food and Nutrition Policy, he also reached to me. How can we engage? I said, please, there is a gap. There is an opportunity. They came in strongly, even funded the process. And when you read that policy, you will see strong emphasis and strategies advocating for preservation, conservation of local seed, consumption of indigenous food. These are the people here. You understand? So I cannot fail to really appreciate the work. Give him another round of applause on behalf of Pelam and all other civil society organizations. I cannot fail to really recognize the work civil society organizations are doing towards policy formulation. I was taking lead, Kanakuri, I will tell you, I was taking lead in the formulation of this national agroecology strategy, which is on its final stages of approval. But who funded it? It is these people. For us as government, we were chairing and guiding and making sure the policy is being written, the strategy is being written within our framework. But they were the funders. It will be soon published. Nogamu is there. He will tell you that the National Organic Agriculture Policy took how many years, Mr. President? 15. But next time, organizers, when you are making people sit, I'm sorry to say, I've not come here to give instructions. Try to at least do a little quick research on the participants. That man is the president of Afronet. I really get scared when I see him taking a back seat. He's a humble man, but if he gets time, he'll tell you. He's the CEO of Nogamu. Nogamu, the umbrella for organic agriculture. He's a president for Afronet. He'll tell you what Afronet is. International at high level. Okay? So I was referring to him because they took lead in the formulation of the National Organic Agriculture Policy, which took very many years. But now we have it. Actually, it is about to being renewed. And when we are reviewing it, there are the people who come and say, aha, it is an opportunity to review. This time we make sure agroecology is. But for it, it is also a subset of agroecology already. But I want to thank you so much, all these organizations. I will not list all of them, for the great work you're doing. We are all working towards implementing NDP4. Now we are on NDP4. It is our Bible. Whatever you are doing, we are all contributing. My brother, you stand up. I was talking about these things, you're just there seated looking at me. The DAO, or you're just resembling. You are the man here. Our DAO is here. Did you introduce yourself? Or you are resembling? You come, you come. I know why I'm doing it. Are you resembling? Or because I'm wondering why I'm talking these things and you're just keeping quiet.
Good morning, colleagues. Edgar Navasa, I'm the Dao Kamwenge. I'm happy to be here. and I'm an IPC analyst, level 1.
So this is the district agriculture officer, Kamwenge. They are the people, part of the team that analyzed this data of the report I'm talking about. So the data we have was analyzed by your own people. Is IPC level 1? When are you going for level 2? But you'll soon get there. So don't say Ministry of Agriculture has lied that Kabarole is malnourished. These are your own people who have analyzed your data. He's also there. She's also there. You stand up also. She's also there. These are your analysts. And when we were collecting data, it was collected by your own children here. We did not bring people from Kampala. It was the DHOs who gave us people, the DPOs, to collect data in their own communities. Your district team analyze it. The report is here. There's no way you run away from it, because it is your data, collected by you, analyzed by you. For us, we just certify, we just quality assure, we just improve on the figures. So, ladies and gentlemen, without taking too much of your time, I want us to do 3 things. This is last time we were here. This year we are here. How many times have we held this similar event? 7. 7 times. Do we always develop a roadmap after this activity? Actually, I'm looking forward at a time during presentation here when we shall review the previous roadmap. Because it shouldn't be just coming here, sitting and going. What have we done better? What have we not done better? Where are we heading? Indigenous foods, we will not even talk about that. That's why, by the way, I've not talked about that, because it is obviously obvious. Charlton will tell you that people are very conscious today about what they eat. Even these people who say, organic agriculture, no, they don't want to eat that food. The change is going to start with us, ladies and gentlemen. What do you pack for your children? This man said he's 60. I almost told him, that you man, you're 60. Some people are growing, maybe you are eating organic food. You don't look to be that age. Maybe you are just trying to wake up the audience. But what do you pack for your children when they are going to school? They call them eats. That we want eats. Charlton, biscuits. Mine will say, we need nice. Those things. There are also those others. Which name? That's what we pack. On VD, they say that if you don't have KFC, don't come. You're there and pack them beans or cowpeas. You'll be in trouble. But we are advocating for this, but we are feeding our children on KFC. Within no time, these school-going children are sick. My brother, they are so sick. My small girl was telling me, Daddy, I have ulcers. I was like, you have what? You have never got ulcers. Where have you got it from? At school, some schools even put some chemicals on beans so that they can be ready so fast. Are you aware of that? Panadol, paracetamol, they mix with the beans and they serve your children. The children, by the time he finishes senior 4, will be a store of medicine, drug. Now, why can't these children cry of ulcers? I think from district level, let's come up with bylaws. At a district, we make bylaws. Ordinances at sub-county. Let's come up with these policy instruments. From these broader policies, we have to make sure that some of these things are a law. How many of you have implemented the organic agriculture policy? 5 years ago. Charlton, have we been implementing? Local government, have you implemented? DPO was here. We came here and disseminated that policy. Myself, I came. We came here, disseminated that policy. This of Pelam took lead and facilitated the process. Your DPOs were here. Even I can open the list of you people who attended. I have it. I have it here. You came. What are we doing? Are we ending in this room? At local government, have those ordinances. Sub-county have, sub-county have those ordinances. Have the bylaws at local government so that we can be a team. When you read those policies, they have an annex whereby every stakeholder is there with the role each stakeholder is supposed to play. We don't want to start making an assessment. The other thing I did tell you, I'm the focal person for organic agriculture and agroecology. Some of these things I can influence. I can easily reach out to my bosses and tell them, can we make a quick review? Who didn't play his part? So, ladies and gentlemen, indigenous food is very critical. How many seed banks do we have here in Fort Portal? Because this is a consortium. I wanted to ask you whether we have an organizational structure for this. Professor, now what are we doing? Because this RAP is supposed to have an organizational structure. Because I was almost tempted to asking you that now, in your organizational structure, how is the district local government represented? Because the district local government has the departments, health, production, what? They are all important. Environment, are they represented here? Because as long as we continue working in silos, enforcement of these things is going to be very hard. Bring local government leaders to be part of you. If they can sit, maybe sit in one of your annual general meetings, bring them. Because if you don't involve them, you will implement with the donors very well. We shall come here to officiate, but now we shall not go too far. Professor, make sure next time we come, you are presenting an organizational structure for this RAP. It's a very big voice. It is a platform gathering all of you together. But other than you, the agroecological actors, we also need local government leadership here. Okay? We also need subject matter specialists here. We need academia here so that we can be multi-sectoral. We need the leaders here. Professor, maybe make sure maybe you don't invite me next time. But if you invite me next year, I will ask for this. Make sure, make sure this structure is there because we need to work as a team. I want to end here and looking forward for the exhibition down there. Thank you for the great work. As a government, like my colleagues have said, we are into this thing and we shall continue supporting it. For us at the ministry level, we are strictly and seriously working on creating an enabling environment. We are not going to implement, but we are creating the enabling environment. Very soon we are going to work to have a bill. We had even started working on the organic agriculture bill. We were only challenged, they said, but now you have organic agriculture. You have agroecology. Climate smart agriculture. Other people are talking about regenerative agriculture. Other people are talking about ecological organic agriculture. You are confusing the country. Those things are very many. Organic agriculture, regenerative agriculture, sustainable agriculture, climate smart agriculture, agroecology, ecological organic agriculture, conservation agriculture, permaculture. You are confusing us. What are those things? They told us, this policy, no. We need to collect all those things into one basket and have a law that will regulate them. So currently we are scratching our head. Will it be the National Ecological Organic Agriculture Bill? That is now, and the leadership was very right. Even His Excellency said we don't need these fragmented laws. We're going to collect all those jargons into one basket. and have one law regulating them. Otherwise, if it was not that observation, maybe we would have the Organic Agriculture Bill. The only worry was tomorrow we're going also to have the Agroecology Bill. And also the other challenge was, you people, they were asking me, I was presenting this agroecology to senior management at the ministry. They were asking me, they said, now, between organic agriculture and agroecology, who is the father of the other? I told them, organic agriculture is just a small room in a bigger house. The bigger house is agroecology. Organic agriculture is just a subset, much as the principles are different. They said, okay. Now, the child has a policy. The parent has a strategy. The child is going to have a bill. The parent is just struggling with the strategy. What are you doing? We are aligning those things. We are aligning those things. I can talk until cows come back. MC, I want to end here for God and my country.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause. That is really for the consistent representation and commitment from government on this one. Because for us, we complement what government is doing. So we are grateful for your remarks and encouragement. So now, colleagues, we're still in the opening session, being mindful that we started late. So we're going to request that you bear with us so that we can also hear the keynote address from Professor before we break off. So that when we go for tea, we already have all these points in our heads so that we can see how we can reflect on them. But before we do that, I would like to recognize Peter Levin, the country representative for IDP, and a partner who has sponsored this event. So thank you for joining us. I now would like to invite Professor Mhumza, who is our keynote speaker for today. Singoma, please help with his presentation, or Murungi, put it on the laptop there. Who is helping Murungi? Singoma, please. Thank you. So Professor Mhumza is a common face in this event. He's been with us right from the early days, and I think I don't have to introduce him so much, and I also fear making mistakes on some of his credentials that I will invite him when he is starting to talk about them. But we've worked together on this journey, and we appreciate you for joining us. So maybe in the meantime, you can start by introducing yourself and mentioning other credentials.
Thank you very much, Chris. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As I have been introduced, Moses Mhumza is my name, and I have a mix of things, but here I stand as I would say, a farmer, and someone who has lived in the Rwenzori region for not many years, but enough to have seen what has happened that I can be able to share with you. At the university, I serve as a professor in the Faculty of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. And before I begin to speak, there is someone who came in when we were seated, accompanying one of the younger people that are here with us. Akiki, Oliver, you are here. Akiki is my former teacher of primary in P5. She taught me science. And every time I meet her, I say she's not growing old. What is happening? Maybe the food. And I'm very happy that she came also accompanying one of the younger people. And when I talk sense, you congratulate her. When I talk nonsense, you blame me. So when I was asked to talk about a topic related to the theme of this fair, harnessing the potential of indigenous seeds and foods, I wondered why specifically me asked to talk about this. I believe there are many people who are practicing farmers more than me. I believe there are many people who are knowledgeable in the areas of seed, genomics, breeding, policy, engagement of farmers on a daily basis. For me, I don't do it on a daily basis because part of the time I'm at the university. So I thought about a number of things. What came into my mind, I'm going to explain these pictures here on the screen. One time I spent some time in South Africa when I was studying. And there is a time when I would go to supermarkets and I find people selling different parts of chicken. The head with the beak. You'd find the gizzards. You'd find are they called the legs? No, the drumstick is different, but this one is at the end with the nails. The feet. And it was a surprise to me. Because here, from our tradition, there are certain parts that you don't eat, you throw. But there I found they were in the supermarket. Here, on the first picture here, you see Enswa. There are some people among us who don't eat this. And there are some people who find it a delicacy. So I was wondering in my head, if I talk about indigenous foods, am I not going to offend some people? There are some people who are known from this region that they eat rats. One time we made a research on the domestication of the cane rat among the population that is neighboring the mountains. And we found each cane rat goes for 50,000. A cane rat, it has the word rat at the end, but locally here it is called omusu. And it's different from kawisombwa. So a misu people would eat, but also eat the other rat. Now, I was wondering, because of this diversity, how will I be able to make a presentation that makes sense and doesn't offend people? So I have to pledge at the beginning that in case anybody is offended, because there are some things which I cannot resist talking, especially when it comes to indigenous foods. Because some of the things that may not necessarily be good to some people are good to others. Then I reflected on the second picture here. This picture here shows a certain story that we find in the Bible. Adam and Eve and receiving a fruit from a snake. It has two connotations. You can see the two. Adam and Eve are with the snake in the tree that is giving them the fruit is black. That is a general representation. But the second important component is that sin came to this world through food. had Eve not received the fruit from the snake, the serpent, would actually be very free people. So food. And remember, by the way, biblically speaking, Adam is the one who received instructions on what to eat and what not to eat. Eve was not there. That is why, when we are here, these things that we're talking about, we may have talked about them last year, or even 6 times before. They still need to be talked about, so that there is no any excuse. Now, after this Garden of Eden, we went to agriculture. Again, in Genesis 3, for the people who read the Bible, that is where the punishments are stipulated. And one of them is actual agriculture. Instead of living hunter-gatherer, you should be able to now cultivate, toil, so that you can produce food. So from that time, do you want to tell you when that one happened? I can be able to tell you. We have been in this practice. So we have come up with a variety of different foods coming from this particular context. But when I reflected further, I was consoled that quickly, here are the key timelines. Whenever I have given a chance to make a presentation of this nature, I always put things into context. And I'm someone who cherishes more of the past than actually the future. Someone who doesn't know where they are coming from will actually not know where they are going. I'd rather know where I am coming from than know where I am going if I am to choose between the two. So many times people want to go somewhere, but they have not reflected on where they are coming from. And eventually they end up getting lost. Around 10,000 BC, that is the period which resonates with the time when communities moved from hunter-gatherer to start cultivating. That's when human society started organizing. And that is the time when societies started collecting different varieties of seeds from the wild so they can domesticate. Each and every seed that you will encounter as a crop, it has a wild relative. That process started 10,000 years ago. The process of formation of cultures, societies, and domestication. During this time, predominantly it was trial and error. So the seeds that we have, some of which have been shown here, some of them will show, are as a result of generations. For something to be called indigenous, should have been in a particular region for thousands of years, not just introduced a year ago or 10 years ago, even 100 years ago. The second 1866 was another milestone. Gregor Mendel, an Austrian monk, started to understand why things behave the way they do. And that's when he started. The first thing he did was to start planting peas. Actually, literature mentions peas. Professor Kabuseke don't know whether to wear garden peas or they are cow peas. but they were peas. So when they were planted, that's when, for the first time, he came up with the theories, which we call the laws, which govern current modern breeding of plants. That's when he came with his first law of inheritance, the second law, and the third law. That's when the thing called genes, DNA started coming to people's minds. But at that time, people actually denied. And why I'm making this statement is that there are some things which people talk about, but for some reason people deny them, and then they catch up with us. Gregor Mendel was actually demoralized because people did not understand what he was doing. They told him, you go away and plant more peas. He went, even he died actually, a very miserable man. Until many years later, that they found that what he had done in terms of the process of understanding breeding of plants was very, very critical, and now he's given a very big title of the grandfather of modern genetics. In 1922, another milestone we see, that's when hybrids start coming in. Hybridization of crops. Chemical agro inputs around 1940, especially during the Industrial Revolution, and a lot of things happening, and what we call the Green Revolution, especially in Europe. And then transgenesis comes on the scene in 1973. And the current modern times, we see that why that commercial food system is in red is because all the things we shall talk about here, they are going to fall down to commercialization. All the things that people are doing because they want to make money. The corporations that people are mentioning about, it is money. When you compare an indigenous and exotic breed, and you ask someone, what is the main driver? And for me, I have asked this to people. I have seen people, for example, involved in poultry farming. He asked them, what is it? Why can't you have it? He said that they want quick money. Commercialization of food system is the main, whatever we shall talk about, it will collapse to that. In my presentation, in the aspect of commercialization of the food system, because of the money aspects that people need to make money, I have prepared 10 angles that should be able to help us motivate a shift to harnessing indigenous seeds and foods. The reason why I'm saying that is because motivation is the beginning point which leads to transformation. I'd like to make it clear that by the time we end the presentation in this room, there should be motivation towards harnessing indigenous seeds and foods. And also, I am putting this presentation in a broader context. Yes, the Rwenzori region is the focus, but ecosystems are interrelated. What is happening in Congo will actually influence what is happening in the Rwenzori Mountains and in the lowlands. Ecosystems are connected. Of course, we are trying to create patches, but we need to see ecoregions and how they contribute to each other. Then, when I was introducing myself, I said that I'm an enthusiast of indigenous knowledge, but also indigenous other ways of doing things. And I mentioned indigenous marriage, and someone who laughed. If you look at indigenous knowledge alone, without putting it into context of lifestyle, without putting it into context of the culture, you'll have missed the point. Because they are connected. Recently, I had a forum where I was meeting elders from one of the communities we work with in the Rwenzori Mountains. We told them about establishing eco homes. They were very excited. But at the end of the day, they said, when we go home, our wives have not been exposed to this. How shall we convince them? Because if you come with your kavera or a bag of indigenous seeds, prepare for me these. But the one who is preparing in the kitchen is not interested. You'll never have the meal of. So it is a cultural context that we must be able to look into this. So that is why my presentation is focused on what we call a decagon motivation. So whatever you forget from this room, do not forget a decagon motivation for harnessing indigenous seeds and foods. So the decagon, if you remember P4, P5 mathematics, it has how many angles or how many sides? The first one is the evolutionary motivation. Each of these motivations are meant to help us appreciate the need for indigenous seeds and foods. These varieties create what we call genetic diversity. As an enthusiast of indigenous knowledge, I have done research related to indigenous beliefs, norms, practices, and way of life. But again, I have a privilege of understanding the science, the biology of this. So genetic diversity is a motivation for adopting indigenous seeds and foods. Unlike the exotic ones, they are not diverse. And promoting these exotic ones, usually it is at the expense of the diversity. Chief guest, I'm told currently NADS is promoting high-value crops. And the three of them, one is hash avocado. The other one is chestnut. Another one is macadamia. None of those is very close to Africa. What is that one telling us? If we are to promote, let us look at the genetic diversity. The evolution that has gone through, the one which I mentioned, the 10,000 years, was basically culture, but these have gone through. Research currently shows that our planet Earth was formed around 4.5 billion years. Humans came on around 200,000 years ago. So meaning that has been a long time to create naturally a diversity that we still need and we see. Unfortunately, disruption because of immediate change can happen abruptly. So that is the first evolutionary motivation. And down here, I have examples of the different varieties that I have studied that should be promoted to be able to motivate evolutionary diversity among the indigenous seeds and foods. The second one is the ecological motivation. Now, this ecological motivation is the main emphasis, especially of agroecology. Chief guest, you are very right when you mentioned these different terms: regenerative agriculture, climate smart, all those. Very, very right. And I'm someone who would be able to support condensing into one. As you pointed out, organic agriculture is a child of agroecology. But ecology is now the grandfather. If agroecology is the father, organic the child, the grandfather is ecology. Because in agroecology we apply the principles of ecology. And here, I have given a motivation for ecology, the need for the connection create what we call a mix of plant varieties and the critical ecological systems. I'll not go into the details because of time, but I'll leave it at that. The ecological motivation also favors indigenous seeds. A word from the Obama Watoro, the Deputy Prime Minister, culture is another motivation. Here are examples of different, this one you are familiar, the Karwandi, Firind. What of this one? What of this one? The Njwangani. If you go to Kasesa and you visit the Mukonza and doesn't serve you Erihere and Obundu, it's as if we will not have received you as a visitor. Already in this region we see diversity. Culturally, we see that there is a deep connection. Identity and ancestry. There are different ceremonies that use varieties of crops. For example, the Mpako naming ceremony. It cannot be completed without the millet breed. There is recently where I attended a cultural introduction function. Usually during the function, there is usually a step of the process before they serve food, where they call the leader from one group to go and inspect on realistic solutions to all people's problems, where he was bringing the aspects of indigenous. But one of the key points that he made there is that culturally, where are we now? What are our cultural values now? What are our norms and what are our practices? We right now have a mix. And they proposed what we call a Toro People's Cultural Code of Conduct. I was happy to see in Kasese, under the Obsika Rwenzori rule, they have something that they have adopted to follow, especially on some of the pressing things related to sustaining homes culturally. That's what I've not done it here. So we see that harvesting of crops followed certain dances, music. I think at one point, maybe in the next, we should be able to organize some of the people who come and tell us or sing for us the songs which used to be sung when they are harvesting millet, for example. Very interesting. And they have very deep meaning if you listen to them. The fourth is the philosophical one. This, I'm going to bring it down. It's not academic. Because sometimes when you mention philosophy, people run away. The philosophical motivation is a moral one. Morally, do we have a right to drive these seeds to extinction? Obligation for future generation. For example, if you have been lucky to have found these seeds in this generation, why should you be the one to exterminate them? That people coming 200 years from now, do you know why you were born in this period of time? Why were you not born 300 years ago during the time of for example, Isaac Newton? Or why wouldn't you have waited to be born in 500 years from now? Why now? So you have a moral obligation and a duty because you have been trusted with the responsibility to take care of what you have found. Assuming this degradation happened 500 years ago, what would you have found? What would you be relying on? So it means we have a moral duty to be able to perpetuate this. When I was preparing this presentation, I found some of the varieties. Maybe it is something that I need to mention here. Probably it is because of our limited documentation, but the way we refer to these varieties is not scientific. Even if it is not having any formula. For example, there is a variety called obote bean. I was trying to look for obote bean, how it looks like. I don't know who knows it, who can describe the obote. We have kanyevwa. At least this one is common. Kanyamunyu, dull-colored cowpeas, potato variety, like nylon, and the kievadula. These are given different names. I think best and that make not and that make not firinda, but there is a white type of white called firinda. Now, is that variety indigenous? Now, the problem we have again, members, is that identifying clearly what is it that is indigenous. Maybe people who are experts may be able to know. But if you went around and asked different people with different varieties of beans, you tell me which one of this is indigenous. People will struggle. So it means, as you will be providing my key action, I will be able to highlight that. Given that they would say over 100% of Uganda is religious. Uganda is considered a religious country. Our national anthem starts with O Uganda, you know. May God uphold. So God, religious motivation is one of those. Because someone will say, why it is included here is that indigenous, African is satanic. That if you adopt indigenous traditional ways of doing things, it means you are practicing sorcery, witchcraft. But let me talk more about indigenous theology and request one person in the audience, the one who is religious, to get Genesis 1:11 to 12. Because these days people move with the Bibles on their phones, at least to read that statement. But let me talk about the indigenous theology that I'm more familiar with than the biblical one. Indigenous theology proposes that the different things that you observe are rooted in the spiritual. One of the areas that they have researched in concerning the indigenous theology is the indigenous theology of the Bakonzo that live in the mountains. Very elaborate, starting with the god of the mountain, Kitasamba, and all the different gods, including Nyavinji, including Kalisa, here in Toro is called Kalisa, including many different, all serving different functions. Importantly, those gods are respected. There are some areas you cannot go in the mountains when you have not appeased the Tasamba or the god. You cannot plant and harvest in abundance when you have not appeased the Nyavinji. That is a motivation from the religious perspective, but indigenous. Anybody who has found Genesis 1? Yes.
And he said, let the land bring forth green plants, both those producing seed and fruit-bearing trees, producing fruit according to their kind, whose seed is within itself over all the earth, and so it became. And the land brought forth green plants, both those producing seed according to their kind, and trees producing fruit with each having its own way of sowing according to its species, and God saw it was good. The word of God.
Amen. What this one tells us is that God created diversity, created variety. But you find that exotic species promote mono. They promote mono, individual types of or monocropping systems. Whereas indigenous systems promote diversity. That is what God created. But we have destroyed. If you went to Genesis, see this, but the important again is this Deuteronomy. It prohibits planting exotic species. Isaiah 65 gives a promise that even if we have diverted, if we put in efforts, we can come back to create harmony. That is Isaiah 65, which is also repeated in Revelation 21. A new heaven and a new earth. You get something and read there. They are talking about the indigenous diversity and variety of seeds and crops. Scientific motivation. In terms of nutrition, research has shown that indigenous seeds, foods, are more nutritious. Even if it was not to do with science, people who have tested, you can be able to feel the difference. This African yam is one of those foods, unfortunately, which we have neglected. Some people have said, everywhere you could have yampun. But these have very rich minerals, iron. I don't know where it came about that we neglected them. So, scientific motivation suggests that these indigenous foods have a higher nutritional value. Economic motivation. Now, this is where the business people come in to convince you that whatever you do does not make economic sense. They have studied what we call green business models. A green business model is a model where you make money by conserving the environment. And I'm to tell you, in the long term, indigenous makes economic sense. It makes more money than rushing to make quick money in 2 weeks at the expense of your health. And the money you make in 2 weeks, you're going to pay it in Mulago. So, economically, when you put in an economic calculation, because of time we're not going into the details, you find that still indigenous seeds make economic sense. And they have a platform where I promote green, they call it green money. That is making money through the conservation of the environment. And we'll look at these different models. In case someone may be interested after this, we can be able to take the contact. But if you are to compare the prices of this local egg and the price of the exotic egg, even if it comes to passion fruits, the chicken, already you can see that there is a difference. Have you ever sat down to ask yourself why? Yes, I will have done by 5 minutes. Medical motivation. We are now on the perspective 8 because we are saying we are using what we call a decagon motivation. Glyphosate. People have used the Roundup, for example. This is the active ingredient. Plus many of the herbicides depend on the market. The problem is that, okay, there are two things, maybe just to help people understand the connection. The glyphosate is a systemic agrochemical. It means that it is absorbed by a plant. It goes inside the plant and it disrupts the enzyme reactions of the plant. so that the plant eventually will wilt. Now, once it is absorbed into the plant, it remains and it can be consumed. It is non-endogenic lymphoma. Lymphoma comes from, I want to explain this because in the human body system, there is what we call the lymphatic nodes, which produce defense against different diseases. So it disrupts this system so that those parts of the body that you have, they, instead of playing their function, they become tumors. And therefore, it is what we call carcinogenic. A carcinogen is a cancer-causing something. Others that you can be able to find out, which are commonly used, are here. And the indigenous foods have the ability to prevent these chronic diseases. This is a technological motivation. There is an opportunity for value addition, like jams and juices, which can actually be packaged. So indigenous foods, seeds can also be packaged. Certification and branding. So this technological motivation is another aspect that can be able to propel us to indigenous seed and food protection. This is the political one. With the leaders here, I will not go much into the detail because of time, but what I have to mention is that there is a lot of politics associated with the indigenous foods vis-a-vis exotic foods. People resist some bills in parliament politically. Some countries have to introduce certain things in the countries so that they can be able to manage them. Here, by the way, we still have an opportunity that we have not experienced an influx of GMOs, and we should be able to at this time take a productive action to make sure that we don't reach the level of GMO industry like what is happening in Europe and America. There's a lot of politics associated with the indigenous foods vis-a-vis exotic foods, but all this eventually collapses to what we have mentioned, that it is of commercial interest. In summary, the decade motivation for readoption of indigenous seeds and foods has these 10 angles or 10 components. Why I made it like this is that someone, if you needs to have a debate about the benefits of exotic foods, they have provided here the different motivations that you can always use. Because sometimes you might be promoting certain indigenous foods, indigenous seeds, but you don't have the tool to counter. This actually can be able to help. Apart from creating high yielding variety quickly, actually, there is nothing that is advantageous in exotic foods. These 4 areas, this is my last slide, Chris. After motivation, there is need for action. Motivation alone is not enough. You can have all this. The first one, which is very key, is indigenous mindfulness. There is what we call neo-decolonization. That is a combination of indigenous knowledge and Western science. It is this point here that is going to transform homes. It is this point here that is going to bring about personal transformation. It is this point here that is going to make someone make a decision whether to pack passion fruit juice ready-made from home or buy soda for the child going to school. That is indigenous mindfulness. The second one is valuing indigenous knowledge and its products. The reality is that we value things from out and not things from within. You cannot blame people. One of the main problems has been religion, another one has been education. Number 3, documenting, collecting, and banking indigenous seeds. I don't think we have an indigenous seed bank here. The chief guest asked, do we have an indigenous seed bank here in the region? Do we have? Documenting. Can we document these different seeds to know which ones they are, what varieties they have, and create? So even if I need the variety, for example, right now, if I want to plant an indigenous seed, where do I get it from? And number 3, rather number 4, is commercializing indigenous knowledge. Now, this aspect is one of those that has hindered the progress of indigenous knowledge and way of doing things. I have worked before with the Cross-Cultural Foundation of Uganda, and looked at the role of culture in development. My point has always been, the moment people don't see the aspect of money in whatever they do, they will not be able to adopt it. So there is an opportunity to commercialize indigenous knowledge, and that doesn't mean commercializing is wasteful. It's recognizing the value, and we repackage that value. And we can be able to do what? Sell it. And when we adopt these 4 in the interest of time, I believe coming next year for another fair, we shall be able to be ahead. But importantly, what I'd like to advocate before you leave the podium is that let this one not be a once-off. Coming around and, for example, commissioning a policy one day, people will not adopt it. It has to be a continuous radio engagement, these events, the kingdom, everybody. Once we have indigenous mindfulness, for example, if you go for example, people who go out and you ask for tea and eggs, and they bring these other eggs which you know. The moment you say, no, no, I need local eggs, the person of the hotel will become conscious. What do you mean by local eggs? So next time, we'll ask, do you now need local? That means you're creating options. You're creating indigenous mindfulness. And that is what is going to help us to transform. With that, I thank you very much. Thank you.
I think it's been a wonderful motivation from our beloved professor, the Decagon motivation. If I am writing about this one, should I quote Professor Mhumza 2025? Wonderful. Yes. So thank you very much. Colleagues, time is not our best ally. We have a special request that we do not necessarily walk out for tea, but have a working tea in a very peaceful way. Muteka. Nti buli muntu ajja kwimuka mpora mpora, noyegendesereza, kutatabangura orukurato, you pick your tea and come back. The reason is this. Our colleague from Nogam, Charlton, the staff, his staff lost a child, and he has to be there. So in the spirit of compassion, I request that we allow that we proceed with Charlton, but also have the tea in a very peaceful manner. Watch carefully your colleague go out and not cause a disruption. That is the request. I hope it is allowed. Thank you very much. And thereafter, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Violet, who will moderate the next session. But I believe, Violet, their responses, I saw people already putting up their hands. We shall attend to responses before we go to the next speakers. So colleagues, allow Charlton to come aboard, and then slowly by slowly, pick a cup of tea, come back and settle in your respective seat. Thank you very much.
can connect. It looks like I don't have an audience anymore. So I think it's better to give people 5 minutes. Yeah, that's fair enough.
So the allowance is in only 5 minutes we have someone to pick a cup of tea, but we still continue. Eh? That line is already long enough, so please consider the time you're going to stay there. Yes? I think when that group returns, the rest of us shall walk out slowly by slowly. In 5 minutes, as Charlton is preparing himself.
Help us keep time. If you could observe,
Can I call colleagues to order now? Colleagues in the room, we have no choice but to proceed. Felix, okola appointment no muhikirwa. Okola appointment no muhikirwa. Tumuhikeo. I'm calling for order in the room so that our colleague can start. Because what he's also going to talk about is equally important, like the other sessions we've had. Order in the room. Order in the room, please. So accord Charlton your ears and let's pay attention, please.
Thank you very much. I'll use just 5 minutes. I had prepared a presentation for 15 minutes because that's the guidance I had, but I've been told to make it short. First, permit me to stand on the same protocol observed by my colleagues, and in a special way, permit me to recognize our chief guest, who is also my brother-in-law. He gave me his sister. I married from Bunyoro, so every Bunyoro is my muko. Allow me also to recognize all the government representatives, all the development partners, the private sector actors, civil society organizations. In a special way, I would like to recognize the presence of the Deputy Prime Minister of the Toro Kingdom. Without taking much time, I had a lineup of people to recognize, but all protocol observed. And I want to thank my dear brother, the keynote speaker, for decagonically walking us through his presentation. I think it's been a very excellent presentation, not just keynote, but excellent. Thanks for taking us back to the times. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to rush because I had made a request to make my presentation at about 9, because a colleague of ours, our head of finance and administration, lost her 16-year-old son. And this is the person I supervise. So I'm supposed to travel to Chotera, past Masaka, to be at the burial. Now, I remembered what my grandmother told me. Be patient. And then I see what the Bible says. Patience is long suffering. You can imagine my chair there was shaking because of the pain I had to endure. I needed to be at the burial. At the same time, I needed to honor the invitation of my good friends from Jesse, and also honor the key partners in this region that are doing excellent work. So I had to patiently wait. Now, with your permission, I will make it short. I had also intended to hexagonically, my brother decagonically walked us through. I wanted to hexagonically walk you through this by defining different things, but because of the time constraints, I'll skip a number of slides because he has anyway touched on them. I always want my audience to understand. You know Nogamu, we are the umbrella organization that unites all the organic actors. In Uganda, we've been in existence for now 25 years. And in November, from the 5th to the 8th, we will be conducting the National Organic Week, where we'll also celebrate our 25 years of existence. We focus on those 4 areas. Marketing is one of those. And I've been asked to talk about markets for indigenous foods. And my question that I would like to pose at this point is, do we have a market for indigenous food? clearly, the food that we consider to be indigenous, does it have a place in the local, regional, and global markets? You saw my grandmother used to grow one of the crops. I intended to talk about a number of them, but I'll just talk about one. And I saw, I think, in one of the presentations, I don't know whether it was my dear brother Muhumza that talked about it. There is a crop we call empande in my language. I come from Busoga. And no, Busoga came from Bunyoro. And Batoro somehow ran away from Bunyoro and came here. You know the history. So in a way, I'm affiliated to both the Bunyoro and Batoro. Our great-grandfather was actually called Yaruhanga, from the clan where I come, one of the royal clans where I come from. But empande, right now, if you ask the people in this room, those ones outside, how many know empande? You can see the hands. So, it is one of those crops that are slowly getting towards the exit, becoming extinct. And there are several others. But I asked Mr. Google because I could not establish the actual demand for indigenous food. And what I came across was that I think they used the size of the ethnic, the market of the ethnic crops, which is estimated at 86 or close to $87 billion, to also be the size of the indigenous foods. But the point I would like to make on this slide is that indigenous foods can be conveniently produced and sold in different forms. If my daughter cannot eat that yam, which has a flat taste, I can put it in a form such as porridge, such as a cake, which is considered to be trendy, you know, like KFC. And then they would eat it in that form. It's still indigenous, but prepared in a different form. And that could find its destiny into the market. But the point again here is that we can take advantage of the established market for organic products to sell our indigenous food. Because now, as you might know, the reason why the organic market is growing every single day is the same reason, and you will see why indigenous foods are special. People want healthy. My brother from Kasese, happy to see you. Long time. The DAO Kasese. Are you still the DAO or excellent? You're doing an excellent job. When I was the executive director of the Vanilla Exporters Association, we did a lot of work with my brother there. We used to hunt down the vanilla thieves. In the night, we'd change vehicles with policemen, and I almost became a policeman. We would change hotels 3 times because these are thugs. They could easily, you know. But anyway, let's not walk down that route. So we can take advantage of the existing markets to sell our indigenous food. And yes, we can certify them organically. So this is where I want us to dwell most. Look, with these indigenous foods that we have, some of which have been certified organic, our excellent organic farmers make us proud as a country. We are home to the highest number of certified farmers on the African continent, and the second highest in the world because of these excellent organic farmers. And this study that was conducted by Makerere and my brother Sir George Bob, our chief guest, have we been implementing the National Organic Agriculture Policy? We conducted a study to establish the state of affairs of the organic industry in comparison with 2018, a year before the National Organic Agriculture Policy was approved. The National Organic Agriculture Policy was approved in 2019. So we took stock of what has happened from 2018 to 2021, and this study was conducted by Makerere University. We commissioned it in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture. Look, in that period, alone, we had 91% increase in the number of certified farmers, 90% increase in the total number of certified organic land, and this is the biggest in Africa. We had 40% increase in food exports, increased share of countries' total agriculture exports, nearly tripling of number of processors, and doubling the number of exporters. And interestingly, a steady increase in the local consumption. Here in Uganda, Ugandans are asking for organic, safe, nutritious organic foods, indigenous, in different forms. Here in Uganda, you Ugandans are asking for these things. And they are being stocked by Carrefour, one of the biggest supermarket chains. You go to Carrefour, you'll find organic products on those shelves. Capital Shoppers and many others. That's an indication that there is already demand at the local level, not just at the international level. So look, this is just to give you a global view of what is happening in the world of organics. You can see Uganda here, number 2 in the world, after India and Ethiopia. And the point I want to make again here is that the demand has reached 136 billion euro. And you have US here as the biggest market, followed by Germany. And for the first time in the history of organic agriculture, China is now the 3rd most important organic market. China. It used to be in the 7th position. Now, according to the latest statistics, China is the 3rd most important market. This underscores the importance of emerging markets, such as the Asian tiger countries, the Middle East, and Africa, and Uganda. So our indigenous foods can be sold in these markets at the global level, but also regional. And then, of course, for the first time, I'm also the president of the African Organic Network, the continental body that unites organic industry in Africa. For the first time in the history of Africa's organic agriculture, Africa has now overtaken North America in terms of having a bigger size of organic land. So while Mr. Trump is busy making America great again, Africa is becoming greater in organic agriculture. So, opportunities. Uganda today is home to Africa's biggest producers of organic inputs. Uganda, we have a huge capacity for commercial organic input production. Fertilizers, pesticides, fungicides. Those of you that will attend the National Organic Week, we are going to give you an exposure visit to some of these state-of-the-art processing facilities here in Uganda. Organic, certified. They are here. So you can see a number of products. And our scientists at Makerere have made us proud. This is an intellectual property right of Uganda. Nothing like it in the whole world. We have innovated a tool called Kebera that tests whether the product has chemical residues or not. Kebera. It is in our local language. Kebera is to check this one. Nothing like it elsewhere. And then we've had government, and I want to thank our government for considering organic agriculture as an important sector. We now have public-private investments. Government is pumping money into factories and processing facilities and value addition facilities for organic agriculture projects, organic inputs, and so on and so forth. You can see this is just an example of a state-of-the-art processing facility. This is in Nakasongola. Their problem is not the market. Their problem is production. There is a huge market for organic products. I talked to one of the buyers in Germany in Feb. It's a Dutch company called Dollar. They have 3 times more demand than what the company can supply. 3 times, one company. You can't satisfy even the orders for one company. And then I met a company that is present in Europe and America, asking for the same product. Products are excellent. We have the sweetest pineapple in the world. Our apple bananas are excellent. And these are products that we grow organically. And you can see the list is long. I could go on and on and on. If I had more time, I would share more. But we also have opportunities in retailing, hospitality, tourism, and so on and so forth. Farmers markets are coming up. Schools are demanding organic products. We have a section of farmers that are increasingly turning their farms into tourist sites. And they're earning from it. So if you establish a good organic farm with indigenous crops, rest assured you'll have tourists from across the globe. They are here. They've been coming. We've just sent one group. We've just finished with one group from Eritrea. And this year alone, we've had 5 groups. And we've taken them around, and they pay for all these services. Organic hotels, restaurants, and so on and so forth. These are the challenges. We still have low production and productivity, low compliance capacity, high cost of certification. My brother from Jesse talked about it. It's a huge cost. Limited infrastructure for storage, processing, value addition. This is still lacking, especially at the farmer level. We still have issues. Limited extension services that are bent on conventional organic agriculture. And limited, and I think my brother, the keynote speaker, talked about this. Limited research, but also even what has been researched by farmers has not been published. You see? Limited research, but even what has been researched on is unpublished. Inadequate access to high-quality seed, fertilizers, pesticides, and so on. We can take advantage of all these opportunities and turn indigenous products into premium, high-quality products. And Ugandans and Africans can sell their organic indigenous crops or products to the rest of the world the way we buy Mercedes-Benz and Toyota and Mitsubishi and all these brands and the pharmaceutical products that we import. We can position ourselves as the continent that can offer the best organic indigenous products in the world. They will eat, but they will also visit our farms and see. Because elsewhere, the systems are already disorganized. Through the Nogama Academy, we are closing the capacity gap, and we're doing this very, very well. We are supporting certification on different fronts. We've established what we call the National PGS Council. And my brother-in-law, Sir George Bob, sits on the National PGS Council, together with others, Pelham, Uganda, and many, many others. And we want to push second-party certification, which is more affordable. And this is appropriate for our domestic markets, Uganda, East Africa, and Africa. That was just to show you the National Organic Week of 2024. It's going to be bigger and better. We're going to be at Africana in November from the 5th to the 8th, and that's the Dutch ambassador. And she's accepted to honor the National Organic Awards to recognize our excellent. So this is just to show you some of the things that will happen during the National Organic Week. And in conclusion, since I was given 5 minutes, how many have I used so far? In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, there is a huge market for indigenous foods on account of their nutritional, health, cultural, and environmental benefits. And we can take advantage of the huge demand for organic products, grow our indigenous crops organically, get them certified, and sell. locally, regionally, and globally. Let's embrace all these schemes of certification, especially the PGS, and the growing capacity for manufacturing of organic and agroecological inputs is an opportunity. I thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's add him another big round of applause. Thank you very much, Shariton. Colleagues, in the interest of time, I don't want to invite another speaker because we have had a lot of speakers and already people are burning with comments and questions. We've had a lot of rich information. So I want to open up the floor now, but in your comment, in your question, please be very brief. Before Chariton leaves also, let's take advantage of his presence now. And by the way, send our condolences to your staff. Yeah, so let's open up for the discussion. The previous speakers, the keynote, and the other welcoming remarks from the previous presenters. Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much, Sir Bob and Charlton. Now, the two I think we are known, but still a question. How are we going to see how we can really these farmers or even the remaining farmers who yearn to go into organic, to put their products on the market to be satisfied? Is there any way, at least every year, when just organize or whatever, to see that at least 50 farmers, they have satisfied their products? At least that one, it will make encouragement to others, or it will give more encouragement to people to see that at least organic, they are moving. Then also finally, I was one of the team mapping the seed banks in 3 regions. How comes that actually I asked Caritas Photo if they have the seed bank. How comes that they don't have a seed bank? Yet we have seen some of the indigenous crops, actually even I'm taking them to our region. How comes? Even in northern Uganda suburb, how comes? Final on that, how are we going also to give courage or to support these seed banks? Because it's also a process which makes other farmers, especially for us who are upcoming, to be actually not feeling comfortable because of the process.
Thank you. That is noted. Another?
Mine is not a question. My name is Sylvia. I earlier introduced myself as an agroecology communicator and influencer, but I'm also a chef by training. And I just wanted to say something and to answer the Honorable Prime Minister's question about making indigenous food palatable for children. But let me speak as a chef, because I think that we have a lot of these sessions, and there's a certain group of people that are never invited here. And those are the final people who prepare the food that goes onto your table. Those are the chefs, the caterers, the nutritionists, and dietitians. I really hope that in the future, you can invite chefs, a professional certified dietitian, and nutritionist rather. Because one of the things about indigenous food, okay, some of the mindsets that we really need to break is the thing of boiled food versus fried food. We need to separate certain things. Boiling is a type of cooking, and it actually destroys nutrients. You understand? I was glad, I think I saw an Indian colleague here. Sometimes we need to do research and realize, why do Indians, why do Arabs who eat very spiced food, why do they have a longer lifespan? It's because they add value to their food in terms of spices and herbs. Spices and herbs are not harmful to your health. They're actually very useful. So those are some of the ways that we can improve the food for children to be able to be.
We actually have a chef alliance.
I would really interest much. We actually have a chef alliance. I would really interest you to find more about it. But we also have nutritionists in the room. And also, it's good that you're here representing the chefs. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All protocol observed. I'm called Jared Mugisa, and I work for KRC Uganda. And why is this bee disappearing? The use of synthetic chemicals. Now, I know there have been effort and maybe a policy towards how we can stop the importation of these synthetic chemicals, but also other advocacy in that line. But what I had, I think there is some frustration at some level when these policies go to government. I don't know if the commissioner can give a comment on this, but if we have to do agroecology without a bee, which is disappearing because of the use of synthetics, I think that we are going wrong. Lastly, I want to address also myself to the Honorable LC5 chairperson when he commented about teachers going back to school simply because the P7 people have to do exams. I am a teacher professionally. I can tell government confidently that going back to teaching, to class, does not translate into effective teaching. So I would want to implore government to actually address this issue of teachers so that the teachers can be motivated to motivate our children to learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jared. I'm going to have two more and then allow for responses.
Thank you so much. Sir Bob, this is my big concern. I'm very happy to see you today. When I was introducing myself, I said I'm a practical indigenous seed and food advocate. I value much the indigenous seeds and foods, but we have a problem. We work with the government extension workers who are very well convinced in the technologies and sciences. We talk of indigenous seeds. They say, those are phased out. Julius, you should not even talk in public about those indigenous seeds. Now, here comes the confusion related to even research. The researchers do modification, maybe improvement due to diseases and other issues. And they forget about the genes of the indigenous and why those seeds and foods are there. We have a confusion, Mr. Bob. Where do we go? We talk as advocates of indigenous seeds, and we are blocked somewhere to do our promotion. Can you imagine? I'm not against the improved coffee varieties, but when you look at the improved coffee varieties that are brought, they have a lot of things that you cannot compare into management when you look at the coffee that was there many years ago. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rwenzori Joseph Maria. Number one, I have heard keenly when the officer in the Agriculture Ministry was talking. It immediately rang into my mind to correlate the effect of the government with the Ministry of Agriculture, where they come to work together with the NGO world that is looking at what is going wrong. Yet, when we are procuring chemicals, they are entering into the country. I thought that there is what we call the Bureau of Standards, whereby they are supposed to spy what is good for us. Because if you compare with the outside world, you'll find out that maybe our neighbors, like in Kenya, you remember the other time when they were even refusing to buy our maize. it meant that there was a problem where they find out that these chemicals are entering into our foods, and of which, for us in Uganda, it is anyone's business that we can partake whatever is there. What are we doing as Minister of Agriculture to see to it that we work hand in hand with these other people who are trying to give us the light to say that this one goes away? I'm so happy and delighted with, for example, KRC Jesse here. They are trying to give us the information. Let me say the literature first. But then they are being crippled by the fact that the other top bottom kind of approach is affecting the success of what we are trying to do. Lastly, when I look at today, people have just completed the planting, but you are looking at the remnants of the drugs. The grass has dried, and even have seen there is a change in the ecosystem whereby new kind of herbs are growing and actually very hard even to control as weeds. What are we doing? We sit in the offices, and why can't we empower the people? Let's go to the village. If these extension workers, this officer from Kamwenga has been talking about, why can't they go and say that stop the use of these conventional kind of drugs which are going to spoil even the very good plants which give more of the humus in the soil than just going with the chemical kind of application. Thank you.
Thank you. Lastly.
Thank you so much for this chance. My name is Atoyembire Onesimus, a student at Bishop Stewart University, under Peram, Uganda. Mine is that Uganda today, most farmers are facing short-term focus. They deal in making quick profits, not seeing benefiting the future generation. Like you see, like these extension workers, they have been talking about. They go in institutions, they study, but to the point of sustainability, it is not impacted into them. That is the reason why you hear my friend here. He's saying that I'm talking about the indigenous seeds, but the extension workers are saying it could be a problem because it is a short-term focus. My request is that since we have people in government here, it is to implement agroecology to most institutions such that we produce people that see long-term sustainability such that the future generation is benefited. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Shelton, please go first.
I just want to appreciate all of you that have made comments or asked questions, especially those that have directed them to me. And I want to make quick comments. First, on the issue of certification. We have been building our own certification system in Uganda that we have dubbed the National PGS Council. So we've already opened applications for PGS certification. We had the first convening of the PGS Council. The next convening is on the 10th of October. We've circulated this information through our partner civil society organizations like PELAM and all the others. So please apply. We will certify you. Apply. And the certification cost is very, very small. We've made it affordable by local standards. Affordable by local standards. Number two, someone commented about the neglected group of actors. The chief, that's a very important group. I think that's a point well taken. Let's make sure that we include them. Now we are working along the entire value chain as NOGAM, from input producers all the way to the consumers. And through the academy, we are reaching out to all these different groups. I think these are the comments that were directed to me. I want to thank you very much, and with your permission, I would like to go for burial. I thank you.
Thank you, Sheldon. There were also remarks addressed to the commissioner. If you'd like to have a comment on that.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much, Chariton, for the presentation. And colleagues, thank you so much for these very good concerns. I have faced these questions everywhere I go, and they become so challenging. I sit on a very hot bench even at the ministry there. You know, one thing I will start with, a public institution like Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries has got very many departments, has directorates, departments, divisions, and units. I'll first tell you, I'm from a department of crop production in the division of food security. But also there is a department of crop protection and certification, crop inspection and certification. There is also a department of crop protection that cherishes and handles the chemical part of it. And all those are different sections of the ministry, and each one of them having a mandate to handle. As a food security expert, I'll tell you that you cannot feed the growing population of Uganda with one technology. For example, I'm an agroecologist, and the organic agriculture is my passion. I'm not just doing this because I'm in charge of organic agriculture in the country, but it is even my passion. I'll tell you that, let me give you a scenario. We are just brainstorming. If we stood today and said, we are burning out completely, no use of synthetic fertilizers, the DAP, urea, NPK, water, no using them, no spraying, no hybrids, only local seed, and only organic manure. You think we can sustain this country in the next 3 years in terms of food demand, imports and exports? You know, these are realities. So what I'm trying to say is, as government, we have different baskets or different alternatives. Organic agriculture and agroecology is providing an alternative that is nature friendly, that is biodiversity friendly, that is providing safe and nutritious food, and saying, yes, those of you who are conscious about nature, about agrobiodiversity, about consuming good food, about soil health, about environmental friendliness, embrace agroecology and organic agriculture. And to that effect, as government, we are supporting you by creating an enabling environment. We are working for you the agroecology strategy to guide you, and we have also worked for you the organic agriculture policy also to regulate and guide you, and we are also formulating a law to operationalize the policy. Hasn't government supported the system? It has. When you look at government interventions, how many of you are beneficiaries of Climate Smart Agriculture Project? How many districts? Yes. This is a World Bank project at the Ministry of Agriculture. Climate smart, embracing environmentally friendly production. So the ministry or government has not failed to support. It is 100% supporting, not only by input, but also creating an enabling environment. And also assigning tasks. That's why I was assigned to handle this. But also, there is also the other wing of synthetic production, which I want to tell you that we can't stop now. Because they are stakeholders, it's contributing to the GDP of the country, it is contributing to imports and exports. The only thing we can do is to promote what we believe in. When you go on the market, bogena mukatale, madam, listen. When you go to the market, Professor is here selling tomatoes, I'm here selling eggplants. I'll remind my stall. I can't come to Professor and say, but I said you are selling what? Who are you selling tomatoes? Throw them away. These tomatoes are perishable. No? Me, I will just say, please, amanyo buome bwa biringanya. Just pass here, biringanya, very good. Just say, blah, blah, blah. Biringanya, biringanya, biringanya. You understand? So, one thing I have always been advising stakeholders. We understand how good organic agriculture is. We understand how good agroecology is. Let's promote and improve visibility of what we believe in. Okay? But if we say, okay, we are believing this, but now this system here, we shall fail. The reason as why we've managed to pass these policies, to draft these strategies, is because at a ministry level, we don't do compare and contrast. When we are defending these policies, we tell these senior managers, agroecology is this, agroecology is this. In terms of biodiversity, in terms of soil health, in terms of below ground and underground ecosystem, this is what it does. We don't tell them agroecology is better than the others, yours is bad, they will not pass it. And trust me, you can get problems. So, there are different alternatives we are providing, and the government is supporting both. That's how I can answer that very hard question. The question of extension workers, I don't think that is true. Because I started working as an extension worker in the sub-county, I was promoted to the district, I went to the ministry. But I don't think that is true, my brother. Because an extension worker who is a scientist, unless he's an extension worker, maybe who did the development studies and is an agricultural officer, which I don't think is possible. These extension workers are scientists. They know that even when we are breeding, we need these local varieties. That's why even you go to the narrow, these seeds are there. They are there. Last time I saw the narrow person buying them from Pelham during the seed event. They are there. The only thing is, we need to conserve them. Chariton talked about bambara nuts, which is really extincting. We need to conserve them, but I don't think that an extension worker said, Nyamaza, don't talk about that. If that extension worker said so, then you need to go to his DPO and maybe address it. Because you cannot stop that. Maybe if we spoke it in the context maybe of production volumes, I know. But even when you do a cost-benefit analysis, you realize at a medium, high, and a low-level investment, you still realize that somebody who is handling local seed at low investment has planted a local seed, has not put fertilizers, has not used chemicals. It's far better than you who is using a hybrid, put fertilizer, because you will get high volumes. Yes, but how much have you put in? We assess all that. How much damage have you caused to the ecosystem? How much damage have you caused in the air? You know, all those, okay? So last time somebody made a demonstration, somebody was talking about Kenya. We've been fighting with Kenya. I sit on the East African Ecological Organic Agriculture Steering Committee. We've been fighting with Kenya. They are supporting GMOs. So if you're talking about a good example in this movement, it shouldn't be Kenya, really. They are wrong. Actually, they are copying example from us. They are very wrong. Don't refer to them. So, somebody got their GMO maize, 100 kilogram, place it here. Professor, I don't know the science there. And got the local seed, 100 kilogram, place it there. And at same storage condition. After 3 months, the GMO was weighing 20 kilograms. The other one was weighing 98. What does that tell you? Not all that glitters is gold. You may eat a very big finger of banana, but what is the nutrition content? How is the taste? How healthy is it? By and large, we have to embrace local seed production, preserve it, and advocate for farmers to have local seed banks for these indigenous seeds. I think those were the questions. Certification is talked about. Thank you so much. Omati over. Nawanga, you look not content. Nabasha, you'll help me to talk to with that man, one-to-one, during lunchtime.
A big hand clap to the commissioner. Thank you so much. That was really a comprehensive, a very detailed response and clarification. Colleagues, on the panel presentations, we were supposed to have 3. We have done 1. I'm going to invite the next on nutrition, Mr. Kisembo Brian, who is the nutrition coordinator. He's a member of the Nutrition Coordination Committee, actually the chairperson for Fort Portal and Kabarole District. So as he comes, I would like to communicate that there are changes on the program because of time. We have a panel on climate change resilience, and we thought that the keynote speaker, Professor, really gave this justice. He really spoke into detail about this. So in the interest of time, we will not have that, but there is a full presentation available, and if you would like to have a copy, please just approach us. You will have that. Then we have also on the program, we have a research presentation. Yes, we have a number of research that has been done by JSE, by KRC, and other partners, and we have also an upcoming research symposium. This and start. Yes.
Right, thank you so much, our moderator. Good afternoon, colleagues. I'm honored to be here. I'm Brian Kisembo by the names. I'm a public health specialist. I work as the Assistant District Health Officer for Kabarole. I also coordinate the nutrition coordination committees at the district. So I'm going to go through, we have a discussion on revitalizing indigenous seeds and food, but specifically to see how they can improve nutrition and community health. On our introduction, what do we understand by nutrition? What do we understand by food? In the simplest way is to have food in 3 classes. For us in health, or you as a person, you must have these 3 classes. Number 1 is glow. Glow. Now, our Deputy Prime Minister was telling us to glow. When you see our faces, when you look at your neighbor, you're shining. There's that shining. The way you look like, the texture of your skin. Yes, but the behind, at the end of it all, we want to see you when you wake up in the morning. How are you looking like? In your natural way. So we need these foods, and these foods are the indigenous foods. Maybe my pick is not very clear, but you can look at fruits here, bogoya, avocado, enyanya, inanasi. These are our indigenous foods. This is Namazukuru. So we want to look at this. Then also want to look at the energy-giving foods. So energy-giving foods, between. Then also have the grow foods, body-building foods. When we talk about food, let us look at our homes. From here, from this symposium that we're having, how are you going to change? Please reflect back. Let us look at our homes. How have we left our homes? We are talking about food, we are talking about improving nutrition, we are talking about improving community health. Think through how your home needs to look like. If you look at this pictorial, we have the latrine. Somewhere there, we have a drying rack. These are simple things, colleagues. And we take them for granted. But if you don't have any of these in your home, please reflect. Before you come here saying this and this, before you complain of government services, it starts with you. Indigenous food, improving nutrition. Now, there is that special indigenous food that we have. You know the lifestyle of a human being. We start from the smallest part, which is the cell, and I'm not going to tell you about the process, how you were formed. Do we all know how we are formed to become human beings? Some know, some don't know. So, but for you to be a human being, that person, the two people who contribute to your life, to you being in this world, need food. And the type of food they need is entirely indigenous, and it is here. It is here. So as the mother is pregnant, she needs the food that is indigenous. And because it has the nutrients, we shall see the advantages of that. So we look at how the habits on how we feed. If you are to look at the mother breastfeeding on the other corner, look at the mother enjoying the meal of the indigenous food with the child. Look at the mother adding more food, supplementing breastfeeding, and the classes of food. This is ideally what we have in our setting that we need to promote. I said before pregnancy, we need this. These are the classes of foods. So there is nothing special here. That when a mother is pregnant, needs specialized kind of food, fortified foods. We have the indigenous that we need to feed on. I had a question that was coming from the audience. Why do we see malnutrition? Why do we see stunting in this region for many years, for the last 15 years? We have the food that is nutrient-rich, it is available, it is affordable, but the issue are habits that we don't know. Cleaning ourselves contributes a lot to food safety. You might have the food, when the food is not safe, then it's not food. It's just what? Poison. Just know it, colleagues. So it starts from the home. Now, if you in your home, you don't have any hand washing facility where you can wash your hands with your family members, a simple tippy tap, then there is a problem, colleagues. You just know that we are going to stay with malnutrition. especially with the children below 5 years, because there is no way they will have to learn this habit. So we all know this. Culturally, we used to go through this. But these days, do we get time with our children to take them through this? Are they really practical at home? Do we have them? Including your kitchen. Some of you are here, but you know the mess you left in your kitchen. If you're told to go and eat from your kitchen, you'll run away. Colleagues, you know the state of your wash facilities, your toilets and latrines. Some of us do not have latrines, including leaders. Yes, we have moved out to the field. We have caught them. We have run after them. Yes, these things should come out very clearly. And we shall stay with such problems. Food security. At home, colleagues, at home. We can't fight malnutrition when we are food insecure. Let's start with that little food that can manage your home, at least for the next 3 months. Hey, in your home, at least for the next 3 months, in case of anything. It is simple. You have a family of 3 people. Why can't you plan and have some food to push you for the next 3 months, other than having food on a daily basis and you end up eating junk food? Backyard farming. These days we have, you can also have them in your what? In your compound, in your veranda, just here. You can have some nutritious foods that can help your children improve. Hand washing. This is very critical. A mother is the one who prepares food at home. But if the mother does not take much emphasis to ensure that the hands, these hands, is the biggest problem we have. They feed us. Whatever food you have goes through your hands. There is a question. One time we are somewhere in a conference and we are challenged. Someone said, when we move to hotels, you find your fork wrapped in that paper that looks like what? It is called what? The white one, the serviette, yes. Thank you. The serviette, that's one, the serviette. One time a child said that that's what? A toilet tissue, but it wasn't. So a serviette. Someone asked that, why are you not washing your hands? Then I said, don't worry. I have cleaned my fork with the serviette. Then another question came. Who prepared the serviette? It was a human being. Are you sure that that person who prepared, her hands or his hands were clean? Food for thought, colleagues. So these things of how we do our chores at home, in the kitchen, wherever where we touch, affects our food and our indigenous food. Failure, this is what we see. This is what we see. Now, facts are bitter. When we come up and we are promoting family planning, all of us try to shy away. But colleagues, practically, if you can have a family that you cannot manage, automatically you end up with malnutrition. The beauty with family planning that we have a variety of methods that we can use. So if we really want to promote nutrition and improve it in our community, let us focus on child spacing. Child spacing is very important. And we shall end up with such things. We shall have such, this side, this is obesity, this is also malnutrition. This is overweight. Obese goes now beyond overweight. We also have overweight, then we also have undernutrition, which is underweight. So we can look at these children. Now, if you want to be sure that these things are happening in our community, be very keen in your own village. Try to pass your eyes and reflect on all the families and the children that you meet. Do you know that there are children who are malnourished that we bypass always, and we don't care, including us who know that there is malnutrition? I was sharing with some of the leaders. They were refuting this. And we have been there to really educate them that we have. Afterwards, they would realize that these children are there. There's a time we had a meeting, Madam Catherine was there, a coordination meeting. And in that meeting, we had leaders. In fact, we were addressing council. And we gave them these scenarios. I'm not ashamed even to mention the sub-counties. In Kabarole, we have 2 sub-counties. We have Kasenda sub-county. If you know Kabarole very well, it is the food basket. Kasenda down. We have a lot of food. The second one is Kabende sub-county. Extreme farthest. They also supply us with food. But during that period, they had the highest levels of stunting among children below 5 years. So when we are disseminating this information to the politicians, they refuted it. In fact, they even told us, how can you prove? We had evidence from the regional referral hospital, which hosts our nutritional unit in the whole Rwenzori region. The majority of the severely malnourished children being admitted in that unit were coming from those 2 sub-counties. Now with evidence, there is data, but also you find the children on the ward. So we had to move up to the ward in regional referral. That's when they said, hey, now there is a problem. I think there is a problem. Oh, what is this? So colleagues, let us not wait for all that. Actually, we have these children around us. Allow me to take you through the burden of why malnutrition. In Uganda, out of 100 people, 29 people have children below 5 years are stunted. When you move to other regions like Karamoja, 45 out of 100, they are stunted. But where is Rwenzori region? It also doesn't leave us behind. 37.8 out of 100. So meaning if you go to our children 5 years and below, we put them there, 38 of them. It does not stop from there, but we also have wasting that is affecting us. We have anemia. Now anemia, colleagues, if you have ever visited our regional referral hospital, we are struggling to get blood for blood transfusion for our children in the pediatric ward and the labor suite and maternity wing. Our mothers are suffering these days without enough blood because of food that they feed on. We have a high number of rising non-communicable diseases. Hypertension, diabetes, we have cancers that are rising, but also this same region, colleagues, we're also battling with high prevalence of HIV, but also we are also battling with teenage pregnancies. So whoever is talking about why are we with those levels? You cannot have a child giving birth to a child and taking care of a child. That's total malnutrition. You cannot manage such a home. I think we had already gone through this. They had given us examples. These are very good nutrients that we get from this food. But most important is climate and food security. You know what happens in our region. So for us, we're saying that one of the importances of preserving native plant varieties is to combat climate change. Biodiversity, cultural heritage, it is within our means. Natural nutritional benefits, these indigenous seeds and food, they are readily available, but we shall also add on animal products that we also have. Environmental and economic resilience, they've already taken us through this and why it is important. Let me go to the last slides of proposed strategies. Community seed conservation, storage and exchange. This has already been said. Value addition and market development, the cultural and dietary promotion, policy and institutional support. I need to talk something about here. That on policies, Uganda, the commissioner was here, we have very good policies, but the implementation is a problem. To ensure that we implement these policies is what we need to focus on. Colleagues, school feeding, school feeding, school feeding. Our children are getting conditions we don't understand. They are becoming diabetic. They have hypertension. They have peptic ulcer diseases. They are getting cancers. Awali tempujuko mukano mchasoma program P1 paka P7 mukaba mwakaferwa gumwana mukusoma nawe etala accident atagwire mwiziba donde bamutomi ngo arwere yafu akamara P7 akabura gumuntu afuire. But these days my 3-year boy told me ngo the friend died ukusoma nawe mwisomero ngo akarwara yafu. Those things it is. Colleagues, the way we do parenting to our children, but school feeding is also becoming a problem because of the chemicals and the food. Timanyire, we need also to do research, Professor. Who told us that actually feeding our children on the posha and the beans throughout is the best meal they can ever have in their lives? We need to find out. Colleagues, ordinances are issues. We need to come up with ordinances to support us. And like I said, food safety is a big problem that we have, even in our public places like markets. Then when it comes to the health services, colleagues, health begins with you and me. Why we complain that there are no health workers, there are not enough drugs? It is because we are also overwhelming the facility for nothing. 85% of all the conditions that bring people to a hospital can be prevented from home using food and improving water, sanitation, and hygiene. In conclusion, let us combat malnutrition through revitalizing this. We can protect biodiversity. Promoting dietary diversity is very key. All right, thank you so much for listening.
That was really triggering us to action. I will allow a few questions or comments, Brian, before next. 1, 2.
Brian, just a simple request. I request you to start from Port Romede Hospital and whatever, to allow organic agroecology farmers to start sensitizing, or they get time to sensitize the patients about what they are growing and sell them, maybe, because that is the first customers. Because this, we people who are the farmers, we are suffering for the market of those things, especially the greens and whatever. But the client, the patients, they are the first customers. But there is a tendency of the hospitals, they don't allow such people to do what, they go to the market to buy those conventional whatever. So I request, let it start from the hospital before to others.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Mine is not only starting from Brian's presentation. Actually, human beings today, I'm sorry somebody said you can disturb people or abuse them, but you first seek their consent. What I'm going to say, I'm sorry if it disturbs you. We have all the knowledge. For every person here, we cannot say that he's not informed. He's saying that we go to Buhinga to the regional referral hospital. Ask yourself, what you ate in the morning, was it food? Have you never heard about safe food? So sometimes we blame others. There is no single bullet that will address the issue of food security. In the past, maybe the World Food Program and World Health Organization, how they defined food insecurity may not be the case today. The problems are changing every time, depending on different scenarios. But can we be the first? Somebody will say, the ministry, you are doing this. The agricultural officers here and the commissioner was here. Can we be the first to change? Because if we go to food availability, accessibility, those pillars of food security, are we not having food in the region? So why are we not having safe food? It's because sometimes we are lazy. You are here, you just want to buy bread. There are yams there on the exhibition. They will all be bought, and we are here, we all have money. But now we start talking about the rural mother there. We say family planning. Who here cannot afford to buy a basin of yams and take it to the children? But he's paying $6 to buy a bread. Blue Band, I'm not informed of the current price of that small. Eh? There are also those prestiges, the tomato sauces and the like. They are full of those preservatives. So it begins with us, the mindset. Everyone here in the room, what are you doing? So these issues of food security, it calls all of us to change our mindset. We are so lazy, we cannot even plant a cabbage in the sack within our backyards. So we want to eat from the kitchens of the colonial masters who went a long time ago. We blame them, they are sending them here. Who is buying them? If we don't buy those chemicals here, will they get market? So we need to change. Otherwise, we shall continue dying like chickens, which continue alarming every morning. Their chicks are being taken by a predator, but they don't make a solution.
Mahura.
Yes. Thank you, moderator. First, I have two reflections. The first point I wanted to make was towards another stakeholder group. But then I reflected internally and I thought that all that we are discussing, change starts with me. So whatever we have talked about, whether it's about eating, whether it is sanitation, we the community gathered here. We go back in our homes and try to improve what's there. If we're talking about indigenous foods, the vegetables and the rest, and we want to involve children, let's start the war at home. So maybe it can move on. So the first one then was enforcement. Enforcement. I think I keep listening to my elders. They say that, you know, the Toro Kingdom did better those days when it was in charge to enforce. Because certain things require that, you know, you have to push somebody. So if it was about a katandaro, if you didn't have a rack for your saucepans and the rest, you would be arrested. If you do not have a kitchen garden, if you don't have a granary or buro, that will be an issue. Government will come in and deal with you up front. And there was no, you know, I'm going to work on it or not. No, you will be arrested so that someone else can see that this is very important. I think we have the ordinance on nutrition. We have another one on environment protection, the enforcement. I'm looking at the health inspectors. In my neighborhood, I'm struggling with sanitation. I have to literally walk from household to household. Please clean up. We have a mess of diapers, you know, these diapers that people are throwing around. Now, if you're talking about preparing food and all this waste is around us, there is one neighbor I'm struggling with and they're extremely, you know, big-headed. They don't want to do anything. But I am not government. Where is the health inspector? Where is the health inspector? I've never seen one in my village. So enforcement, we really have to do something, government. And if you're not doing it because you don't have the money as a government staff, do it for patriotic reasons, for heaven's sake. Because you are a beneficiary. So I think we need also to be patriotic and look at, you know, this posterity thing. Yeah, I think Professor called it the philosophy. I think it was domain number what, 4 or 5? Eh? The moral obligation, but also the, you know, why are we here? Why are we existing? Why are we not worried about the future? So for me, really, at the end of the day, I settle to myself, and I think you in this room, you should also settle about you, do something in your home. When I look at us, we are 60, maybe these are 60 households. Can't we do some transformation there on all the things that we've talked about? So that's my take home, colleagues. Thank you.
Amote, that's very true. Brian, do you have any comment? Because most of these were comments, not questions.
Thank you, Brian. My question was on our indigenous food still. In some parts of the town, especially in Kisenye, you can see our indigenous food has arrived. It is being sold on the streets at night. So can we proceed and start buying those indigenous food, the yams, the cassavas, the potatoes, and we proceed? Is it healthy? That is, no, that is one. The last one is on malnutrition. I have seen people with short-term memory as the bus is closing, someone is planning to cross, someone does malnutrition. Is it about stunted growth, or also it has something to do with the brain regardless of the size? Thank you, sir.
Brian, just tell people when I'm finishing for this. Yeah, somebody mentioned that you have food, but you don't know how to eat. If somebody posed the question that, do you know how to eat? I got confused. And I even thought about people who go to the university to study how to eat, food nutrition. And me as a person, I know nothing. I knew that I know how to eat, but I could not answer the question that was given to me. And the mothers who brought us, who nurtured us, are just doing it culturally. So if somebody asks you, do you know how to eat? Yeah, what can you tell?
I'm going to request that we close this session because Brian is around and the interaction is going to continue. Maybe if you have something, Brian, to wrap it up.
Thank you, colleagues, for these good questions or remarks. To start with is my colleague, I'm just going to add on my sister from regional referral, marketing. Now, what we should understand, that for us in health, we are also changing tactics. Why? Because medicine, diseases do not read books. The information or the knowledge that I got for my grandparents who were medical doctors and nutritionists may not be relevant at this time, 100%. So there are other new innovations. So in terms of marketing, what we do in organic, we have a coordination committee, which I head. And on that coordination committee, regional referral is also a stakeholder, the academia stakeholders. So we have engagements that we meet. So in these engagements, we have opportunities to have organic farmers talk about organic foods. Then we also go ahead and talk about the importances, the nutrients, the values that are in, on how to prepare them, how to store them. That one is done. Then from there, the nutritionists at the regional referral, they do what we call health education. They health educate our mothers, they health educate whoever is there who has taken a sick child. At that moment, your food may not save the child. That is what she's trying to put forward. At the regional, if the child is severely malnourished, your dodo, your fruits may not work. So for us now, it is our part. That's what she says, treatment. I wanted to get her very well. But we health educate you, and we go ahead to have demonstration gardens at the facility. So if you go to the regional referral, you'll find a demonstration garden have these organic foods. So the organic farmers, our partners come and the specialists come and help train our health workers to have those simple demonstration gardens where we help to teach our mothers on how to go back and prepare the food and grow it. Then when it comes to enforcement, you put it right. It begins with you. Because even if you build a house and put a very nice perimeter wall and all your facilities are okay, the fly will not know your perimeter wall. Because your neighbor does not have a latrine, for you think you're safe. You're actually eating his feces and raw feces. And when you come to the facility, we tell you have typhoid fever, you will begin gambling. Where did I get it from? I take the drinking water, I bottled water, all this. But that's how we end up eating feces. The scenario I told you about the serviette, don't trust that serviette anymore. Wash hands. Make sure you're clean. Our foods on the street. Now, food safety. There is no problem having our indigenous foods. Anywhere you can find it is very okay. But is it safe? Is our street food safe? When vehicles are passing, the person really selling it. So, it is with you. It is your mindset. When you go to a hotel and you find someone selling food, there's one basin of water outside. So as you're coming, the one has finished, they dip in the same basin and uses the same towel, cleans, and they also put for you food. And you pay money. And you pay money. So colleagues, it's the mindset. So if it is safe, you can use it. Lastly, the question, the behavior. The behaviors. Colleagues, it's very true. These funny behaviors we are seeing, it is because these people are stunted. What stunted? Stuntedness is irreversible. By 2 years, if the child is stunted, you may not reverse. So no one wakuibe nyama, musupu, na mtema humukono, na gunaga. So those are the people. How to eat. Colleagues, the first slide I put there. Look at those 3 classes of food. Make sure you have them on a single meal. Yes, have them. And on it, there was also a glass of water. So it is just simple. It is not science from rocket science. Just the food. Make sure you've eaten a fruit. Make sure you have a vegetable. You have, if you have posho and the beans today, and you have an avocado, then you have a fruit and a glass of water. That's a nice meal. But when you're going to eat the next day, don't also again feed on the same thing. You can just change the sauce. Yeah? But you see how that's just the simple way how you can eat. So you know how to eat, but the choice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. That was very detailed and educative. Now, of recent, we had poem competitions at national level. It was a very exciting event, and our schools participated. And the theme was on agroecology. Now, one of our schools in the region came out the best in the whole country. That is Buhinga Primary School. Let's clap for them. And by the way, it's not, don't think that the teachers wrote these poems for them. The pupils were presented there, and they gave them a topic and gave them time to write, being supervised there. And they still came out the best. I want to welcome the head teacher for Buhinga Primary School to also give us some of the things that they presented that day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our MC. I am Asimo Constance, the head teacher of primary school, and I'm happy to be invited to attend this important meeting. Before our child presents what he presented and he composed at the national, I still have something to say about today's discussion. It's not good just to talk without walking the talk. And I think it's very unfortunate that the concerned people may not be here. Because when we go to the markets and we see how the food that we are buying is handled, it's very, very unfortunate. It is as if we don't know what we are doing. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to also put your attention that if we were wise enough, I don't want to spoil business of people in hotels, but we would first peep to the kitchen of the hotels and then we order for food. I wish we saw how the food that is served to us is being handled. Obuvera nizombavi. Abaisiki baitu, the way they are using those aprons, I don't know. So I'm just requesting that government should also intervene in this. When we go to Kavundaira market, where you find the fruits are being sold, so I don't know. By the way, in Fort Poto, we are at risk. Some of us, I think, not all, if not all of us who have traveled, we have gone to other districts, like in Kavala, where they sell food in kilograms. And when you are buying a kilogram of passion fruits, you will go and make juice. But if we go to some of any of our markets here, if you buy maybe a bundle, you will find only 3 are good, or maybe 5 are good. So I don't want to steal the show, but I want to request that government should intervene. I wish our chief guest was here, the commissioner, to pick this information. Ladies and gentlemen, we should also talk to our parents the way they are packing food for their children. Our parents are using plastic containers. A mother wakes up at 5, prepares food, puts it in a plastic container, and then covers the food. By lunchtime, that food has gone bad because of that heat that is accumulated in that container. Of recent, for us, Rwenzori Primary School, we are there. Out of 50 teachers, at least 45 are there. And I want to thank the teachers for that good heart that they have. A parent came and complained that the teacher has poured my child's food. This teacher was very, very passionate. When this child was opening the container, the teacher was near, and the food had gone bad. Because it was prepared in the morning and covered, they did not allow it to maybe get cold, and then they cover. So the food had gone bad, and the child had no choice but only to do what? To eat it. In schools, we are suffering. Indeed, we are suffering. Every moment, a child has stomachache. We are always giving Panadol and giving magnesium. So I don't know if we are right, but that's what we have in our first aid boxes. And then when it gets worse, that's when we call the parents to come to attend. So I request that whatever we are discussing here, let it go to the right people, because for us here, we may not be practicing such. So I would like to congratulate and thank our dear Tumwine Daniel, a child of primary 7, Buhinga Primary School. Daniel, where are you? Yes. So this is our boy who was given a topic. Please come over. He was given a topic. He sat down, wrote it by himself, and presented that poem. Now, when we reached Kampala, this very boy and other contestants, they were 9 in number. They were given another new topic, and they sat on a platform like this one, and they were given a pen and a piece of paper, composed a poem, and then Tumwine Daniel excelled the best in the country. So Daniel, I request you that you present to the House what made you a champion. Tumwine Daniel was given very many gifts, including a check of 1 million shillings, but it is coming. He has not yet received it. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Yeah, just please present for us what you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tumwine Daniel. I teach you at Winga Primary School, which is located in Fort Portal, Tourism City, with a poem entitled A Symphony of Hope. A Symphony of Hope. In the fields of green, where life begins, agroecology's wisdom, a story to spin, a balance of nature, a delicate dance between the earth and humans, a harmonious trance. The soil's rich fertility, a treasure to behold. Compost and cover crops, stories untold. The microbes work tirelessly, breaking down decay, releasing nutrients in a never-ending way. The pollinators buzz in a joyful throng, bees and butterflies singing their song. From flower to flower, they flit and play, collecting nectar on a busy day. The crops stand tall in a diverse array, a rainbow of colors, a symphony to sway, from maize to beans to squash and more, a polyculture's beauty forever in store. A farm's ecosystems, a web of life to survive, where every creature has a role of strife to thrive, from beneficial insects to soil-dwelling worms. Each plays a part in the agroecological farms. The farmer tends with love and gentle care, observing nature and listening to its share. A beacon of change through the years. A connection to the land that dispels all fears. Therefore, let us grow roots and weave these tales of the earth to believe. In practice bold, a future retold. And in agroecology, we delight and achieve a symphony of hope. Thank you.
Give him another big hand.
The blood bank team is there, and they are ready to receive us and have this blood from you. They will, first of all, do some tests, find out whether you are an eligible donor. They will also educate you, and if you are eligible, you'll donate. If you are not, home for transport and you're coming and you are invited from wherever you're coming from, please kindly check with the people at that desk such that they can give you a form to sign for your transport, and that transport will be sent to your mobile money number that you'll provide. So in case you've signed, please you wait for the message to come to your phone, and if you've not yet signed, please kindly contact the people at that desk. So with those remarks, I ask us to proceed to Barrier Road. Thank you very much.